What is up, YouTube? Facebook, Twitter, Apple, Spotify. Everyone tuned in on the Texas Sports Unfiltered app, and everyone with us live at the historic Scholz Garten. Welcome into the official pregame show of Texas Longhorn football right here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. We will be live for the next 2 hours right here from Scholz Garten, getting you set for number 1 Texas and number 5 Georgia, the first top 5 matchup at DKR-Texas Memorial Stadium since 2006. One of the biggest games around these parts in a long, long time. Alongside Bucky BK, I am BK Brad Kellner. Shout out to our guy Rodney Rodriguez for handling the app back at home. Buck, we've been here for every Texas home football game. This place is usually packed. Today, it just means more, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And we are eating dog.
We are eating dogs.
Nice dogs. Neighborhood filled with dogs.
You want to hear from the president?
Let's hear it. Let's hear. Yes, we are eating the dogs. We are hungry, and we can't wait for some dog.
We can't wait for some dogs. Texas and Georgia. This place is a madhouse. I was talking to our guy Gareth here at Scholz Garten. This place opens at 11. Remember, kickoff's not till 6:30. This place opened at 11 this morning, and he said there's been a line out the door since about 11:05. I mean, it is a madhouse. Tons of Texas fans, tons of Georgia fans, tons of people. And Buck, I looked it up before the start of our show. The current record for the biggest crowd in DKR history, the Alabama game from 2 years ago, 105,213 fans jam-packed inside those
say
walls.
Goodbye to that.
Yeah, that record's going to be shattered tonight. It is going to be nuts at DKR in 2.5 hours, and it's one of the biggest matchups of the entire 2024 college football season.
And the city is on fire right now. I mean, there's so many things going on, and it's hard to get around, but well worth it because you know what? It's not 100 degrees out. It's a very pleasant evening. It's going to be something special tonight. The pageantry of college football this is a showcase here for Austin. It really is.
Absolutely. Current temperature 84 degrees in Austin, but by the time we get closer to kickoff, it'll be upper 70s.
How about that?
A perfect setting for a big-time college football game. Obviously, the first meeting between Texas and Georgia as SEC foes. This is the 6th all-time meeting between the Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas 4-1 in the first 5. Of course, the last time these teams met, January 1st, 2019, at the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Texas was a double-digit dog going into that game. And, of course, the Longhorns won outright 28-21 on New Year's Day. I think we all remember the game itself. I think we definitely all remember what happened before the game when Evo nearly speared Georgia. Talk about eating the dogs. We almost had dog kebabs in New Orleans a couple of years ago.
Yes, Evo wanted to eat the dog, too.
He did. No UGA at this game. Georgia citing logistical issues, folks.
Yes, timing just was not right.
Yeah, you buy that?
No.
They're scared.
No.
You think the whole team is scared? Because it seems like whoever's in charge of the mascot is scared.
No. Well, the team's not afraid. Believe me, they will show up and show up strong today.
Yeah. First meeting in Austin between Texas and Georgia since 1958. Of course, the Longhorns unbeaten 6-0 for the first time since 2009. Georgia 5-1. Their only loss this season came in that thriller at Alabama. I think the game of the year in college football to this point.
So far,
Georgia was down 28-0 at one point. They trailed 30-7 at halftime in Tuscaloosa. They came all the way back, took a lead with 2.5 minutes to go, only to give it up on a 75-yard touchdown pass by Jalen Milroe. So Bama won that game 41-34. Outside of that, though, Georgia unblemished. They've already played 4 SEC games. They're 3-1 in the conference. Buck, this Georgia team has been the class of college football over the last 3 or 4 seasons. You talk about a welcome to the SEC moment. Texas is about to get one.
Yeah, this is the opportunity that the Longhorns and the Longhorn fans have been waiting for. You know, are they coming to the SEC? Well, they're here, and right now they're the number 1 team, not only just in the SEC, but the entire nation. So this fits just right for what's about to happen here. You know, at 6:30 this evening, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be some great football, I believe. I think we're going to see some showcase individuals tonight too. This is the kind of game where you find out about certain individuals on your football team and on the opposing team also. This is one that the nation will be watching this evening.
A lot of NFL talent will be on the field tonight on both sides. You know there are going to be a ton of scouts at this game. You know the eyes of the country will be upon Austin, Texas tonight. I think this is going to be the most watched regular season game we have in college football all season.
I would agree.
I mean, there's a lot of good games today, good games going on right now, other good games going on tonight, but primetime, 6:30 kick on ABC. I think this is going to be insane, and the numbers for this one are going to be through the roof.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. This has been a hard ticket to get, BK, and it looks like there's going to be a special rivalry, I think, between these two universities for a long time to come in the SEC.
Yeah, we don't know how often these teams are going to play, but we do know they'll play again next year.
Absolutely.
Of course, it's the same schedule this year as it is next year in the SEC for Texas. The only difference is this year they'll play in Austin. Next year they'll play between the hedges in Athens. But at least for the Longhorns' first 2 years in the Southeastern Conference, they will get the Georgia Bulldogs. And Georgia has not only been the class of the SEC in recent seasons, they've been the class of college football.
No doubt.
How about this? Since 2021, Buck, Georgia is 47-3. They won 2 national championships, of course, back-to-back in 21 and 22, and all 3 of those losses came to Alabama. So they're 46-0 against everybody else. They are 1-3 against Alabama. They have been the class of college football. And once again, a huge barometer for Texas, right? A measuring stick. Yes, Texas has the number 1 next to their name, but to be the best, you've got to beat the best. Georgia's been the best.
Yeah, they've been the best for a long, long time. And as you said, to beat them, you got to be on your A game tonight. This is one of those games where, as Sark talks about playing to a standard, you have to play to the standard and more tonight. The standard won't be good enough. Your standard has to be that standard and a little bit more tonight in order to beat the Georgia Bulldogs, I believe. And a Georgia Bulldog team that's found ways to win games with the exception of one game. They find ways to win. They'll be around in the fourth quarter. They've got exceptional special teams. They've got great individual players. They still play defense well enough, believe me. Don't underestimate that Georgia defense and the way they play defense for 1 second in the game. And this is a 4-quarter team. This is not a team that just goes away. I think we saw that when they played Alabama. No matter what the score is, they don't go away. I mean, they play like champions, and that's how you play the game, and that's how you're in every game because they play like champions. They don't roll over.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Fido, roll over. Here, doggy. Here, doggy. Roll over.
Oh,
you won't get that out of the Georgia Bulldogs tonight.
I don't think so either.
No.
And like you said, Alabama was up 28-0 at home against Georgia. That game felt over, and Georgia clawed all the way back to take a lead with just over 2.5 minutes to play. They didn't win, but I think they sent a message to the country that, hey, we're still really good. Even though we were down by 4 touchdowns in one of the most hostile environments in college football, we came all the way back and made this a game. Obviously, if you're Texas, you'd love to get out to a 28-0 lead, but like you said, this has to be an all gas, no brakes kind of game for Steve Sarkisian. Texas can't let up at any point in this game because we know what Georgia's capable of.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be big plays in this football game, and there are going to be small things that could win you the game or small things that could lose you the game. So you have to be really mentally ready for the Georgia Bulldogs. And for both sides, I mean, I think we put it out that when we talk about Georgia in such high regard that the Texas Longhorns, well, Georgia better be on their A game too tonight. They've got to make sure that they get off to better starts than they have over the last couple games. They've been off to slow starts. They find ways to keep it going because that's just in their DNA. But for them tonight, they can't come into Austin, Texas, and start out slow. You don't want to get behind. Texas needs to get off to a fast start. But Georgia also feels like they've got to get off to a fast start also.
Yeah, and Georgia's in a spot that they have not been in a long, long time. Texas is favored in this game tonight. Now, the line's been all over the place. Yesterday, Texas was favored by 5. And as it stands right now, just over 2 hours away from kickoff, the Longhorns a 4-point favorite in this one against Georgia. Doesn't matter what the number is. It looks like Texas is going to be favored when we get to kickoff.
Favorite over Georgia? Georgia's an underdog?
Oh, to your point, the first time Georgia has been an underdog since the first game of the 2021 season. They were dogs against Clemson in a neutral site game. Georgia won that game outright. 49 straight games that Georgia has played in, they have been favored to win. Looks like that streak's going to come to an end. And that's a testament, I think, to a couple of things. Number one, this Georgia team has not looked as dominant. Like you said, Buck, they found ways. They're top 5 in the country. They're 5-1. They are very much a threat to win another national championship this year. But the eye test and the stats don't look as good as they've looked the last 3 years. And obviously for Texas, we feel like this is the most complete team the Longhorns have had in 20 years. I don't think people are disagreeing with the fact that Texas is favored tonight.
No, I think a lot of people feel like this is a not just another game for Texas, but this is a showcase game that they can win. And And a lot of folks think they can win pretty easily in this football game.
Yeah.
If Georgia shows up the way they've shown up the last 4 games, that will be a problem for the Bulldogs. And for Texas, just squaring up a couple things. They'll get their quarterback back for a second week now of full-time practicing. If he's on his game, they've got enough depth to win this game. And I think they have enough depth to win this game pretty easily.
Yeah, that's a big storyline, right? Talking about the quarterback.
Yes.
Because Quinn Ewers did come back for Texas last week against Oklahoma. Boy, speaking of Oklahoma, I know we've got some scoreboard updates to get to, but we can always take shots at the Oklahoma Sooners. How far have they fallen? They got boat raced at home by the Cox today of South Carolina.
I told you watch out for those Cox today.
Yeah, always watch out for the Cox.
Absolutely.
Always be on high alert there. But Quinn Ewers last week in Dallas, 20 of 29, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. The numbers don't look all that bad, but if you watch the game, it wasn't the same Quinn Ewers we saw, who was the best quarterback in college football for the first 2.5 games of the year before he got hurt. That's a huge storyline, right? What Quinn Ewers are we going to get? If we get the one who showed up in Ann Arbor back in week 2, I think Texas is fine. If we get the one that showed up at the Cotton Bowl last weekend, then this gets a little dicey.
Well, I think we found out that kid is just what it is. He's human, and he's going to be rusty coming off a month of not playing football at the kind of level that he's used to. You know, he got to the Cotton Bowl. He was a little rusty. His footwork wasn't great. His arm strength was okay. His footwork was not good. But as the game wore on, he got a little bit better with each snap. And I think after having one more week of practice and playing against some of the better players in the nation, I think he should be just fine.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's the way he comes out. Because if he comes out the way he did last week, that will be a problem. Because he's going to get hit. Last week he got hit a couple times, and I held my breath on his first hit when he went to the ground and the big man fell on top of him. He got right up. You know, he scored a touchdown, still got hit. He got right up on that. So health-wise, I think he's going to be fine. It's just a speed thing. Well, he's going to see enough speed tonight.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Because that group was nothing compared to this group.
No.
It's speed-wise.
No, Georgia's defense has elite talent. And statistically, this is the weakest defense that Kirby Smart has had in a while, but they still recruit incredibly well in Athens. They've had top 3 recruiting classes in each of the last 5 seasons. So it's a roster loaded with talent, and it will definitely be a test for this Texas offense. And, yeah, I thought Quinn Ewers looked a little timid. I think you understand it, right?
Sure.
He missed almost a month of action because of that oblique injury,
right?
But he looked a little timid. He didn't look confident in himself. And I think to play college football, to play quarterback in the SEC, you have to be confident. You have to believe in yourself. I don't think Quinn Ewers did last week. We need a more confident, precise, accurate, and quick version of QB1 tonight, I think, for Texas to get.
It's just about practice time. It's just about the way the game is just about energy. It's practice time. It's making sure you have your concentration there. It's a little bit different than just watching film and thinking you're going to be good than when you get out on the field. And that was a big game last week that he came in. It wasn't just any game. It wasn't against the Road Runners. You know, it wasn't against Louisiana Monroe, who is still just moving right along 5-1 since they lost to Texas. But it wasn't just another game that he got into. He got into a high-level football game after missing a month. So expectations from the fans I think the fans were a little disappointed in what they saw, but don't be. It was just rust, but he was good enough to win that football game.
Yeah, by 31 points.
By 31 points, yes.
Yeah, obviously Texas got off to a slow start last week. They were down 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. It's the first time all season long, the only time all season long that the Longhorns have trailed in a game. Steve Sarkisian was asked earlier this week how this team can start faster on offense. It took the Longhorns a while to get things going. Only 7 points until there were about 4 minutes left in the first half last week. How do you get off to a better start on the offensive side of the football?
You know, I'd say, first of all, looking back on it now, I'm glad that happened. You know, I think that was good for us offensively to have some of that adversity early on in the game. I learned a lot about the maturity of the offensive football team and the leadership of that group. And so, with all that being said, I would sure love for that not to happen again. I wouldn't want three 3-play drives and 13 yards in a quarter. So the goal is to put together some good openers. The goal is to make sure that our players understand the openers and know the adjustments to those things. The goal is to put our guys in really good positions on third down and to feel comfortable with the stuff to extend drives. And then ultimately, call your best stuff in the red area that gives you a chance to get in the end zone. So, but I think all that goes back to confidence and belief in what we're doing. And, like I said, I've got a ton of belief in our staff and the game plan they put together. I've got a ton of belief in our players, and these guys have earned it. And like I said, looking forward to them going out and competing and playing at a high level Saturday.
To get off to a crappy start and have some adversity against a crappy team like Oklahoma was last week, and they were down, they were outmanned. It's different today. This is one you don't want to get off to that kind of start.
No,
you don't want any adversity. All you want things to do is happen in a positive way with your quarterback. He's back now for his second game. And it's not just always on the quarterback. Everybody looks at him and says, well, he's the leader. I mean, I'm picking him as the offensive player of the game, and in this kind of game it should be. But this is the thing about this football team. They have other people on this team. They have 10 other guys that play alongside of Quinn Ewers that held the mantle for him last week.
Yep.
And that's what you do when you're a good football team. If one guy's not playing well, guess what? The other 10 better play well, and I think they did that. I think they were behind him. I think he had a solid enough job after he got going. It's just about reps for him.
Yeah.
And he'll get plenty of reps. But the adversity that he faced last week is nothing like the adversity he'll face if that happens today.
Yeah, just 13 first quarter yards last week against Oklahoma. And I thought the play calling was really good. It's just the execution in that first quarter at the Cotton Bowl was not where it needed to be. And Sark used the word confidence and he used the word belief. And I think Quinn Ewers is going to have more of that in himself
for sure
this week, because at times he looked like he wasn't confident. But you're right. I mean, the run game was really good last year. Texas as a team ran it for more than 170 against an Oklahoma defense that was ranked in the top 25 against the run going into that game. The receivers were really good. The offensive line, I mean, Quinn Ewers got sacked once. It was on the first play of the game, and Quinn went down on his own. Like, maybe he could have even stayed alive and thrown it away. He went down on his own, but outside of that, the guy barely got touched. So he did his job, and obviously the defense, they kept Oklahoma out of the paint for 4 quarters. Everybody else picked up the slack. But in a game like this, because the quarterback on the other side, it ain't Mike Hawk.
No,
It's somebody different. Carson Beck was the Heisman favorite going into the year. He's got a shot to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft come April. This guy is going to make you pay if you're not on your game. You got to feel good about your starting quarterback when you're going up against a QB like Carson.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of working out to be the battle of the quarterbacks, but the other people around that both quarterbacks will have to play well too.
Yeah.
Their receivers will have to play against the number one secondary in the country. Yes, the number one, not the 125th best secondary, but the number one secondary, the number one defense in the nation. Carson Beck has his hands full today too. He really does, and if he doesn't get off to a quick start, it could be a long day also for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah. Texas defensively, like you said, they've been elite this season. They're number one in the country in a lot of major statistical categories. The number one scoring defense, the number one total defense, the number 2 secondary. They're number 1 in stop rate, which is the percentage of drives where you keep the other team off the scoreboard. Texas is not giving up points on 87.1% of its defensive possessions this season. That is by far the best rate in college football. They're giving up just 3 yards a carry on the ground. The secondary has been incredible. Everyone's talking about how this will be a great test for Texas, right? This is by far the toughest team that Texas has had to play. Well, this is going to be a tough test for Georgia as well. And Carson Beck, you look at that Alabama game that Georgia lost, he turned it over 4 times. 4 turnovers in that game, 3 interceptions and a lost fumble. And a big part of why Alabama jumped out to that 4-touchdown lead was because Carson Beck could not protect the football. He threw 2 interceptions last week against Mississippi State. Like, he's got to be on it too, because this Texas defense has been phenomenal against every quarterback that they've gone up against.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen about this Texas football team is the fact that now they can run the ball. After last week, there's no doubt in anybody's mind that they can run the football against the best defenses in the nation. It doesn't matter who they are. This offensive line is one of the best, and they're one of the best at both run and pass. And I think you'll see if Carson Beck starts turning the ball over now, this is a Texas team that can run clock themselves with the run game. They don't necessarily have to drop back and pass on every down or in big plays. They can, these 34s, 33s, they can turn around and hand it off and get that kind of yardage to keep the clock going, which is I think a great recipe tonight. This is one of those times, every week I'll say, why be balanced? Go after their weakness. This is a game that I think you have to be balanced. And if you're balanced and Texas runs the ball the way they should, 140, 150 on the ground, it's a long night for Georgia.
Let me ask
because
you,
that clock runs,
yeah,
and they don't see the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you about Trey Wisner, Buck. Following up on your thoughts on the Texas run game, Trey Wisner has emerged as what feels like the number one running back for Texas right now. 26 carries for 206 yards in his last 2 games. Averaged 9.1 yards a carry last week against Oklahoma. Had a couple of big runs as well, including a 43-yard touchdown scamper in that football game. Trey Wisner has kind of come into his own as of late. You feel good about him?
I do now, BK. I mean, this is the halfway point, and I feel fantastic about him. He's not just a backup runner now. He's not just a guy who can give your starting running back a blow. He's a starter, and he's one of the best runners in the SEC. I've watched these now. I'm looking at film of other teams in the SEC and their running backs. Well, I tell you what, Georgia would love to have a guy like that as their runner right now, and their offense and what they try to do as a football program. And right now, Texas is very, very fortunate to have this guy play at this level right now. His running back coach and Sark has got him in a position that he's not just a backup anymore. He can be a starting back just about anywhere he wants to be right now. Yeah. He's there. I think he's there. This is not and now he's worked his way to that now. I mean, it didn't just happen. This guy's got better each and every week. He's got more reps, and now he's to the point where he's the best runner they have. Now, there's things that the other kid does pretty well and will continue. I think will continue to do. He'll continue to get on the flank, get outside, and do some great things. But this guy right here between the tackles is pretty steady right now. Good. Get him going.
Make some loud squealing noises every few
minutes. I understand. We like dogs.
We do like dogs here. Yeah. Hold on. We need to play that.
Our neighborhood likes dogs.
They're eating the dogs.
Okay, remember that.
We're eating the dogs tonight.
Eating the dogs tonight.
Bring your buns.
When Kentucky comes to town, we'll be eating the cats.
That's exactly right.
In a few weeks. There's going to be a lot of pets getting consumed here
Absolutely.
in Austin, Texas, USA.
We like Gator, too.
We do. But Trey Wisner, because of his performances these last couple of games, he has overtaken Jay his leader in rushing yards this season. More than the last 2 games, he has been really good for this Texas offense. Look, if Jaden Blue is great, this is a ride to hot situation. Sure. But I feel like Trey Wisner getting the bulk of the top 5.
Yeah. See how they I know they went last year. But they got to get an extra yard. The last couple of games, it was just a matter of how point right now. He's one of the best.
All right, friends, working on getting the guys reconnected back out there at Scholz Beer Garden. What a massive sight it's been out there, just with everything going on with Formula One. Obviously, with this Texas-Georgia game, there are a lot of things that are happening in Austin, Texas, right about now. So we'll work to get Bucky and BK back hooked up again. But what they're talking about, I mean. And that has been the consensus of this game going in. And I think, in my opinion, Rodney Rodriguez joining you guys. I'm on the backside working here, so just kind of ready to fill in because we thought that we may need this today with everything going on. But it really is going to be a key to me. And I'll give my keys to the game. I'm not a coach. I'm not anything other than a guy that has watched football for a lot of years and likes to talk about stuff. Texas, right there, what Bucky was talking about with Trey Wisner. It's going to be really interesting to me as this game kicks itself off as to what Texas does to start the contest. You know, are they going to, is Trey Wisner going to be the running back? Is that what they're going to do to start that off? Do you go with Jaden Blue? Because I seriously think that, guys, I've talked about it on Chaos Theory all throughout the week. I really do think that the tight end here for Texas today is going to be a really, really big factor. I talked about that in the Michigan game, where I thought that Gunnar Helm was going to be a guy that was going to make a huge impact, and that's exactly what he did. And I will be checking in right here as I'm going. It looks like Mississippi State with a score, so Texas A&M currently leading that game 14-10. I'll get you a scoreboard update here as I'm kind of diving in here, but there's a lot of unknowns going into this ball game, and I really think that it's going to be something to where Texas is going to be tested in a way that they haven't been, you know, at any other point before. And I think that they're prepared for that, just in the sense that this program is ready for this test. I mean, they really are ready for this test. There's been a lot of other times to where Texas has been vaulted into a position to where, you know, maybe put into a situation to where they're going to be back, they're going to be whatever the case is. But I think now it's a matter of where this team is ready. And one of the things that Sark talked about, because we saw it in the Mississippi State game more than we saw in the Oklahoma game. The Oklahoma game, we could kind of go a little bit the benefit of the doubt right there with Quinn coming back after shaking off some rust. But one of the things about this offense has to start fast. And Coach Sark talked about that early in the week. How does the offense start fast?
You know, I'd say, first of all, looking back on it now, I'm glad that happened. You know, I think that was good for us offensively to have some of that adversity early on in the game. I learned a lot about the maturity of the offensive football team and the leadership of that group. And so, with all that being said, I would sure love for that not to happen again. I wouldn't want three 3-play drives and 13 yards in a quarter. So the goal is to put together some good openers. The goal is to make sure that our players understand the openers and know the adjustments to those things. The goal is to put our guys in really good positions on third down and to feel comfortable with the stuff to extend drives. And then ultimately, you know, call your best stuff in the red area that gives you a chance to get in the end zone. So, but I think all that goes back to confidence and belief in what we're doing. And, you know, like I said, I've got a ton of belief in our staff and the game plan they put together. I've got a ton of belief in our players, and these guys have earned it. And like I said, looking forward to them going out and competing and playing at a high level Saturday night.
Absolutely. And that's going to be the case right there for Texas, to start early and to start often, and don't let the foot off the gas. That's going to be the most important thing. Looks like Bucky and BK are back out there at Scholz, and we'll go back out to them. Just a couple of scoring updates, guys, in the SEC right now. Alabama leads Tennessee 7-0. That's a very early game right there. And as I just mentioned, Mississippi State has scored, so Texas A&M leads 14-10 in that ball game. So lots more coming up, and we'll keep you updated throughout the afternoon. Heading back out to Scholz with the guys.
Oh, thank you, Rodney. Yeah, we'll see how it goes out here. We've got all sorts of technical issues. This place is packed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've been here for every home game, and we've never had internet issues. And there are so many people here. And, you know, nobody talks anymore, Buck. Everyone just stares at their phone all the time.
Oh, yeah, it's on. It's being busy. The internet's busy tonight.
So we use Verizon hotspots to handle our internet connections during our live broadcast. Normally we don't have any issues, but because everybody else is on their phones, we're having some issues. So we'll try to power through. We actually just switched to the Wi-Fi here at Sangarunde Hall, which I actually have less faith in than I do our Verizon hotspot. But we'll see how it goes. We'll hopefully stay on the air for the remainder of our show. Thank you for bearing with us. Thanks, of course, to Rodney behind the scenes for helping fill in, and hopefully we'll be good to go.
And we are eating the dogs. We have been since 1883 here in Austin. Yes, it's been a long time. We do like the dogs.
That was the year you were born, correct?
It's fine, and they're fine dogs too.
They're fine dogs. You've been eating dogs since
1883.
1883. Thank you very much. So you were the guy the president was talking about.
I'm that guy. I'm that neighborhood guy.
There you go. Well, thank you very much. Shout out to Rodney for giving us our first scoreboard update. Brought to you by our friends Moonshine, Patio, Bar and Grill. Looking for a great place to get brunch.
Oh, tomorrow is going to be a madhouse over there at the Moonshine for brunch for sure. But try dinner, folks. Try dinner. Try lunch at the Moonshine. All their wonderful locations around the Austin and surrounding areas. But brunch is key tomorrow. That's right. Mom and Dad are in town. Get that credit card out. Buy for the entire. Hey, if you have to buy for the entire dorm, do it.
Yeah.
Even if you live in a dorm, buy for the dorm. Dad doesn't mind. Longhorns win, he's buying.
If you want to buy for the entire TSU staff,
there you go. We'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll take that as
Love
well.
Moonshine.
Yeah, more than 20 years in the Austin area. Go see our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill for a fantastic dinner or their phenomenal weekend brunch. Head over to moonshinegrill.com to make your reservations. So a couple of scoreboard updates there from Double R. Games currently in progress, but we've got some finals from earlier today. We alluded to it earlier. Oklahoma got demolished at home by South Carolina, 35-9, the final score. Buck, it was so bad for the Oklahoma offense, they went back to Jackson Arnold. Michael Hawkins Jr., who played the entirety of the game last week against Texas, didn't score a touchdown. Turned it over on his first 3 possessions. 2 picks and a fumble. 2 of them were returned for a touchdown.
Wow.
And Oklahoma got punched in the mouth early, and they never got up off the mat. It was a disaster for them.
Yeah, welcome to a couple years of being set back there, OU. And can you get out of the state of Texas taking these recruits? Because they're not going to want to come any longer.
No, we know, we love our friends at Message Board Geniuses, right?
Oh, yes.
The Sooner Meltdown is in full swing.
Oh, I bet it is.
Someone posted, everyone meet on the south end of the stadium. We're going to fight this team coming out of the locker room. So OU fans are so pissed at how bad their Sooners are.
They want to fight the team?
They want to fight their own team. They're not mad at South Carolina for coming into Norman and beating the brakes off their guys. They're mad at their own guys for allowing South Carolina to do that.
Yeah, that's a team right now in flux. I mean, they've got problems at the quarterback position. Texas is very fortunate to have 2 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks. This group can't find one right now. They chased one away to Oregon, and they thought they had the guy from the Riverwalk that was going to do great things, and they're finding out he can't get it done. Then they bring in a freshman. But it's not just those players. It's the players that are around them, too. They're struggling. Once again, if you don't have the wide receivers, which I saw again today, if you don't have any wide receivers, you can't play college football without a wide receiver.
And Brent Venables, I don't know how hot his seat is. Remember, he just got a contract extension in the offseason.
Hey, nice job giving him extra cash.
And it's been a disaster for Oklahoma. They're now 4-3 on the year, and their schedule does not get much easier. They still have to go to Oxford, to Baton Rouge. They've got Alabama at home, at Missouri. Not going to be easy for Oklahoma. Who freaking who? I don't care.
No, I don't feel bad.
No. Some other scores. About Indiana, they remain unbeaten. 56-7 over Nebraska
That's
today.
Incredible.
Absolute beatdown. The Hoosiers now 7-0 on the season. And no, we are not talking about basketball. Number 6, Miami stays unbeaten with a 52-45 wild win at Louisville earlier today. Number 10, Clemson, who of course lost to Georgia back in week 1. They get a win over Virginia 48-31. And Missouri, in a battle of Tigers, they hold off Auburn 21-17 in Columbia. So those are some of the final scores. We gave you the 2 SEC games going on right now. One Big Ten game of note, a ranked matchup between number 24 Michigan and number 22 Illinois. It's the Illini with a 13-7 halftime lead in Champaign-Urbana right there. So there's your first scoreboard update right here on the Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show. All right, back into Texas and Georgia. By the way, hit us up on the Coda text line, 512-222-9328. Of course, the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter live chats are rocking and rolling as well. Buck, we'll go back to the Texas offense. We'll give our offensive player of the game predictions here in a moment. And, of course, those are brought to you by our friends at Verde's Mexican Parrilla. Offensive player of the game. I think you referenced it earlier.
Yes.
You feel like this has to be a big game for QB1.
You know, during the course of the year, I said that this guy's probably going to be my offensive player probably 80% of the time. This is one of those times. You know, Quinn Ewers has to be the guy. coming off of an injury, coming off of a little bit of a slow start, a little bit rust last week. He has to play his best game. He may have to play his best game as a Longhorn tonight against the Georgia Bulldogs. And I think he'll be up for the task. I mean, he's well rested. Don't be surprised if you see Quinn Ewers when he has an opportunity to take off and run with the football, because they're going to hit him. They're going to hit him from all different angles, because they're not going to let him sit back in the pocket in a home game in front of 100, could be 110, 120,000 folks here tonight.
Yeah.
They're not going to let him just sit back in a rocking chair and just do whatever he wants tonight. They're coming at him at different angles. Kirby Smart is going to dial up everything from, corner blitzes to safety blitzes to two linebackers, you know what I'm saying, to dropping a bunch of guys. It's going to be difficult for Quinn Ewers. He's going to have to be ready to be hit tonight. But I think he's going to take off and run with the football too. If they decided they're going to drop into coverage because they're worried about these wide receivers and they better worry about the tight end, look for Quinn Ewers to take off and run with the ball to show that he is okay. Yeah. He took a couple hits last week, which I was surprised at him. He didn't slide. He didn't do his normal slide deal. But it was also last week was him getting to the ground and guys falling on top of him. And with that injury he had last week, it doesn't take much if the ball's underneath you and a 300-pounder falls on top of you. So, but I look for him to run the football a little bit tonight, use his legs some.
Our guy Zay calls Quinn Ewers Quintavious Ewers.
Quintavious.
When he takes off and runs. We haven't seen a lot of Quintavious Ewers this year.
No, we have not.
We saw more of it last year. Now, obviously, a big storyline throughout Quinn's Texas career has been his weight, right? He lost 15 pounds from year 1 to year 2, and he was a lot faster and a lot more fleet of foot last year. It took off and ran a lot more. He actually put 10 to 15 pounds back on of muscle. It's good weight. He looks a lot better in 2024 than he did in 2022. But we haven't seen that much of Quinn Ewers running the football. I hope you're right.
I just don't think what you don't want to see is him running for his life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the pressure's all over him. I think he can pick his spots where he knows I can get 7, I can get 8, I can get down, and we can keep moving the chains. Plus, he's going to feel good about the run game, too. I think Sark's going to get this run game going tonight, and like he did last week, and continue to move the chains, move the clock, pick your spots. But I think they're also going to unleash some deep balls tonight, Quinn.
Yeah, well, I think you have to, because that's been a huge weakness for Georgia. Yes. And that's why I'm kind of fascinated about what type of defense Kirby Smart employs. I mean, look, he's going to give multiple looks. He's not going to do the same thing on every single play. But I think in Kirby Smart's perfect world, he can play single high safety.
Absolutely.
Load the box a little bit more to prevent somebody from running the football and feel good enough about your corners one-on-one to where, hey, you only need one safety over the top and your pass defense is going to be fine. Well, Oklahoma's given up – they have too. Georgia's given up a ton of explosive plays this season. I mean, they're one of 12 teams in the country to give up multiple 70-plus yard pass plays. They're 51st in the country in receptions of 10-plus yards allowed. That has been – we're not used to seeing that. Like, it's a miracle if you can get a 10-yard pass play against Georgia in the past. This year, they've been giving up all sorts of shots down the field. That's where if you're Texas – you absolutely have to try to see if Georgia has that's 15 yards right there, man.
Can't do that.
That's a 15-yard penalty. Hey, we're eating the dogs like the president, so be ready.
We'll
be eating the dogs tonight.
Mighty fine dogs.
They didn't even bring Uga. They're too scared. They couldn't even bring Uga this time.
Yeah, next time.
I think the Georgia fan says that was a mistake.
That was a mistake not to bring to this town because we eat the dog.
Well, that's probably why. You keep telling him they're eating the dog, so they're probably terrified. No one's going to bring their dog around you ever again.
Sorry about that.
You've said about 100 times you're going to eat people's
dogs. Mighty fine dogs that you have there in Athens.
They're staying in Athens.
Yes, they're keeping the dogs in Athens.
Yeah,
good.
Because we all saw what happened the last time Uga and Bevo were in the same place.
BK, one thing that Georgia will pay really close attention to is Texas tight end Gunnar Helm. They're going to be looking for him. They have to. They can't let this guy get 7 or 8 passes. I mean, he has been a true weapon, and he's been a real weapon for Quinn Ewers, and he's been a weapon for anybody that's at the quarterback position so far this year.
Yeah.
Look for Georgia not to let this guy loose. I can't believe I'm saying let this guy.
Hey,
this guy's been loose though.
He's been great. In Texas's 2 biggest games of the season, Gunnar Helm has absolutely delivered. Right. It felt like Gunnar and Arch didn't really have a great rapport because when Quinn Ewers was out, Gunnar Helm's numbers were not very good. But last week against Oklahoma, 5 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. And then, of course, against Michigan on the road in Ann Arbor back on September 7th, 7 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. So when the Longhorns have gone up against defenses with like talent, Michigan and Oklahoma, they're having bad years. They still have talented dudes on their defenses. Gunnar Helm has really shined. That's, I think, what you want to see if you're a Texas fan. And I think you're right. Kirby Smart has to game plan for big number 85, because if you ignore him, he'll make you pay.
Yeah, well, and he also knows about tight ends. They've had pretty good tight ends at Georgia over the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
A guy that they practice again, and they understand what the value is in a fantastic tight end. And Gunnar Helm has proved he's that guy this year. He's that guy. If you think that he won't catch 7, 8, 9 balls in a football game, that's what'll hurt you. You'll find out in the stats at the end. He's made some really great plays when it really is a meaningful time of the football game. Plus, he's got a head coach that seems to find ways to scheme him wide open. Wide open.
Yeah. All right. We got sidetracked. That's on me. You're going with Quinn Ewers?
I'm going with Quinn Ewers.
Okay. What type of stat line do you think we get from Quinn tonight?
Oh, 280s.
Okay.
280s. I'm going to say he's going to throw for at least. Can I give him 2.5 touchdowns?
I don't think you can score a half a touchdown.
All right, I'll give him 3 then.
Okay.
I'll make it that way. I think he'll throw for 3 touchdowns, but I've got to see him in the 280s. You know, the 199 from last week was, I mean, he had shots. I mean, hell, there was one ball he could have thrown for a 70-yard touchdown if he just lets it go. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. But I think in the 280s, 3 TDs, you know, no interceptions, no turnovers, no fumbles. Just take care of the football. I think he can take care of the football with this defense. But as I said, things happen in a game like this. Their blitzes are coming from everywhere. So he's got to protect himself, but he's also got to protect the football. And the Longhorns have to protect the football. The running backs, you know, some of these where you're coughing it up at the 1-yard line and your wide receivers running downfield jumping on it. Dude, you can't have that. You got to be able to hit the ground, hand the ball to the official, and go on to the next play.
You're right. Yep. And turnovers have been a little bit of an issue for Texas this season, and Steve Sarkisian openly complained about that in the game week press conference this past Monday. 8 giveaways for Texas on the season. There are opportunities for them to clean some things up.
Absolutely.
And, you do not want to give this Georgia team short fields. You don't want to give them extra opportunities to make some things happen because, look, they're far and away the best team Texas has seen this season, and they'll make you pay if you give them 3 points and 3 yards. So
yeah, and the points will really matter tonight too. So your guy, Burt.
Hold on, let me give my offensive player of the game prediction.
Before you get to that guy, and maybe he's going to be your guy tonight.
Before we start shitting on the kicker.
Because we can't do that.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't been great as of late. But I'm going to go with Ryan Wingo, the true freshman. He was awesome last week against Oklahoma. Only had 3 touches, but had 74 yards on those 3 touches.
Okay.
Not a math major, but that's close to 25 yards a pop for Ryan Wingo.
Well, he's special when he touches the ball. He really is.
That's a big game. Like, I know Oklahoma's not very good this year, but like you said earlier, like that game is huge.
Yes.
And for Ryan Wingo as a true freshman to show up the way he did at the Cotton Bowl in the Red River Shootout, I think that definitely gives me faith. But more importantly, I think that gives this coaching staff faith that Ryan Wingo can be a focal point. Not just, let's see if Georgia doesn't respect the truth. No, like, I think Ryan Wingo can be a focal point for this offense. I think his role is going to be increased really over the course of the entirety of the second half of the season.
For the next 3 years. For the next 2.5 years, it should be.
I think that starts tonight. I think Ryan Wingo's a big game. I think he gets into the end zone. And we talked about Georgia's struggles when it comes to preventing explosive plays.
Yes.
Ryan Wingo has 13 catches this season. 9 of them have been explosive plays. He also has 2 carries. Both of those were explosive plays.
Yeah, maybe he'll carry it tonight, too.
Maybe. Got one last week. Got one against Michigan in those 2 big games, and they were both really, really effective. So I'll go with Ryan Wingo, man. I think
that's a good pick.
I think he makes some plays tonight. I think he finds his way into the end zone. And
is that back-to-back weeks you've taken him on?
No, I took Quinn last week.
Okay.
And that sucked.
No, it was fine.
He was the worst player on the offense last week. Texas won 34-3.
Yes.
But everybody else was better than Quinn Ewers. So hopefully I don't put the hex on Ryan Wingo maybe I did on Quinn Ewers in Dallas. Offensive player of the game prediction brought to you by our friends at Verde's.
Oh, my goodness. My weekly spot. A couple times a week I'm going to stop at Verde's, get that salsa, get myself some queso, sweet tea. Love everything that they have there. BK, I've been into the big taco to go. You know, I got the big taco at my house where I lay into. It's called my couch.
Yep.
Well, they gave me the big taco when I get over to Verde's too, and it is absolutely delicious. Chicken. I love the chicken taco there. Unbelievable.
And you put it in your couch?
No, I don't put it in the couch. I go lay on the couch and munch it right there.
Oh, there you go.
Love Verde's for everything that they have, and the pork chop, of course.
The pork chop is fantastic. It's a great place to watch a Texas game, right? They've got that gorgeous outdoor covered patio.
Nice evening for it if you're not making it this way.
Oh, yeah, weather's starting to cool down a little bit. Also, the nice indoor dining area as well. Great to dine in, great to take out. They'll cater your next party. They can host your party there. And, oh, by the way, we are still doing our season-long giveaway.
How about that?
Here at Scholz Garten.
Chef Cody.
Chef Cody's going to come and cook a meal for 8 people if you are the winner of our season-long Verde's Mexican Parrilla giveaway. You have to be here at Scholz Garten or at Shoal Creek Saloon for our road game broadcast to sign up to win. We will announce the winner of that during our pregame show before the Texas A&M game at the very end of the regular season. But there you go. Thanks to Verde's for our offensive player of the game.
And speaking of sign-ups, I mean, you got an opportunity here for boots and jeans, folks.
Thanks to Ariat for that.
Yeah, thanks to our friends at Cavender's where we're over there. Thanks to Ariat Boots.
Yep.
For bringing those to us. And for each home game, we've got that just for you. And thank you to Cavender's for having us this week. This has been a busy week for us. It's been a fun week getting ready for this game. And this game is special. This is one of those special games, BK, that it's not just us. It's the nation watching this one.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of stuff going on in this city with Formula One. But this game right here, you're talking about this morning at 6:30 in the morning with college game day being on campus. It was wild.
That was fun.
Yeah, my wife couldn't believe it. She goes, those are students up this? I'm like, yes.
Students, parents, kids,
Oh, yeah.
Everybody. I mean, there were thousands and thousands of folks on the West Mall right in front of the tower on the campus of the University of Texas, doing a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Representing our
Fantastic.
university. It was cool to see Scotty Scheffler
Oh,
as
yeah.
the guest picker on College Game Day today. Vince Young was a guest. Tony Hinchcliffe from Kill Tony was a guest. Gabby Douglas, Texas Longhorn and Olympic medalist, was a guest. Game day was awesome this morning, and it was a great showing by Longhorn Nation. And this whole city is a madhouse today, tomorrow, with F1 in town, with Georgia in town. This is as good as it gets. And I'll say it again. I know we started the show with this stat, but I'll say it again. First top 5 matchup at DKR since 2006, the year after Texas won the national championship. Cole McCoy was in his first year as the Texas starting quarterback. Ohio State came to town, actually beat Texas. Of course, Texas went on the road to Columbus in 2005, won that game en route to winning the national championship. Ohio State got its revenge in the return game in 2006, but it's been that long, Buck. It was 12 years old the last time there was a top 10 game played at DKR.
This will be a good one tonight. This will be a fun matchup. This is one, as I said, the whole nation. The biggest game, you thought Alabama, Tennessee, it was a big game that's going, it's going to be happening tonight. And you thought the Alabama-Georgia game, but this is 1 versus 5 and a matchup that's got unbelievable athletes and huge implications into the college football playoffs too. But one thing, BK, let me just say this. For the Texas Longhorns and Longhorn fans, disappointment, this is a 12-team playoff this year. You put all your eggs into one basket and you're disappointed. Be careful of that because there's still a lot of season left to play.
I know people will hate us saying that, but if Texas loses tonight, the season is far from over.
Oh, my goodness. There's a lot of football we've played.
They can still get to the SEC championship game and win the SEC championship. They can still make it to the college football playoff.
Even for Georgia if they lose.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia needs this more than Texas does.
That's right. They already have a loss.
Georgia already has a loss. Now, Georgia at 10-2 can still get into the college football playoff.
Sure.
Their resume is going to be really good because they've got a tough schedule, so they'll put up some quality wins. And I think they're going to get the benefit of the doubt because they're
who
Georgia.
They are. Yeah,
and
that's right.
They probably deserve it with how good they've been the last 3 or 4 seasons. But they need this one, I think, more than Texas.
Most certainly.
Because Texas is undefeated. They're the only unbeaten team in the SEC going into week 8 of the college football season. So, no one wants to hear us say this. This is not do or die.
Right.
Like we had in the 4-team playoff, or obviously like we had in the BCS era. Texas can be okay if they lose this game, but nobody wants to talk about that.
We did that last year when Texas played Oklahoma. From that point on after that game, every week was a playoff game for the Texas Longhorns. And they stood up to the test. They won. They won all the games leading up to the college playoffs. They did a fantastic job. So you got to be careful of getting yourself on a downer. Fans can get on the downer, but I think this team understands about college football, about what's going on. And with a 12-team playoff, your opportunities will still be there. You're playing in the best conference in the country, so you've got an opportunity. If you can still run the table, you still got a great chance to go and play in the playoffs too.
Absolutely. And look, what if Texas wins this game tonight?
Oh,
I mean, the Longhorns are already the number 1 team in the country. They can't go any higher than that. But
no, they just solidify getting to the playoffs. They can still, they'd have to take care of the business over teams that they should be, but they still have an opportunity if they win this game. That down the road, if something were to happen, they're still going to be one of the best 12 teams in the country.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no doubt.
But you talk about sending a message. I know we talked about this a lot.
This is the message.
Yeah, we talked about it during our pregame show in Dallas, right? Like the Texas OU game, it's a huge rivalry. It's the first time the SEC gets to see what this game is about. You wanted to set the tone in that game, and Texas absolutely did that with the 34-3 shellacking of the Sooners. But everyone kind of knows what Oklahoma is. Georgia's been the class of this conference. If Texas can beat Alabama and Georgia in back-to-back years, obviously a little different. Last year was last year, this year's this year. But if you go on the road and beat Alabama and then you follow it up the following season with the win against Georgia, talk about a new sheriff in town.
No doubt.
Like, Texas isn't just here to be in this conference. They're here to take over.
I told those people.
You did?
I let those people know at media day.
You did?
When they said to me, they said, "We're just going to be another team. You're not walking into this conference and becoming the next Georgia or Alabama. You're Texas. It's going to take you a while." And I said, "It won't take long. It won't take long, and we will be making decisions not on the football field. We'll be making decisions in anything you do in the Southeast Conference." People thought that I was out of my mind. You really mean that? And I was talking to Auburn people, which the hell does that mean?
Yeah, not a whole lot, because Auburn sucks. They can't beat anybody right now. Walk into your trap, take over your trap. That's kind of been the mission for Texas so far in the SEC. So the Longhorns and Georgia coming up at 6:30. Don't forget your charger here, Buck. The Buck's walking away to hopefully go bring us a very special guest here at the Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show at Scholz Garten. So we'll bring on intern Brock. How's your kids? How's your wife? What's up, dude?
What's going on?
How you feeling about this game tonight?
Cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
I think Texas needs to get off to a fast start. The defense is built to play from ahead.
Yep.
Rush the passer, pin their ears back. They're untested. I know it's been a conversation in the mainstream media this week, and it's true, right? You look at the offenses that the Texas defense has played, passing offenses specifically, they're all ranked in the hundreds. And now we're playing, the Heisman frontrunner, preseason frontrunner, first-round quarterback Carson Beck. I feel good, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, to your point, the best scoring offense that the Longhorns have seen this season, Mississippi State, they rank 71st in the country in scoring. So, look, you credit Texas, and you can't blame Texas for playing who they've played. You don't get to make the schedule. You got to play who's on your schedule, and a lot of those teams' offensive stats are as bad as they are because Texas's defense is as good as it is.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt Georgia has the best offense that the Longhorns have seen all season long. So
absolutely.
I think there could be some UTSD from Texas fans with this secondary, right? Because
Yeah.
we know what cost this Texas team in the Sugar Bowl last year against Washington. Their pass defense was abysmal. The last time this defense has gone up against an elite quarterback, they got picked apart.
Yeah.
Now, it's a different defense. You got much better personnel this year than you did last year. A couple of different coaches on the defensive side of the football. So I think there are plenty of reasons to be more than just cautiously optimistic, very optimistic that the Texas secondary can hold its own.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are some folks who are still like, man, we haven't seen a guy like that. And the last time we saw somebody close to that, it did not end well.
Yeah, and I think Derek Williams' loss is huge. We cannot overstate how big of an impact player he has been this season. Him and Makuba in the backfield, best duo in the country, in my opinion.
Wow.
So losing him, I think, is going to be huge. I don't think that's been talked about nearly as much as it should. The reason that I'm real optimistic, though, is that even the teams that didn't have that high explosive offenses that we've seen in years past, they're known for like Michigan is a physical team.
Yep.
And we walked in there and we made them look like the little men, on the field.
Sure.
So, and Georgia's had that reputation too over the past few years, offensively and defensively. They've been a physical powerhouse. So I think we can play with them.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, this is going to be a line of scrimmage game, right?
Yeah.
Every game in this sport really is. Look, people are going to be talking about Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck and the running backs and the wide receivers and the skill position players because those guys are sexy. Like that's what generates the headlines. But Texas has to win up front. And you're right, against Michigan and against Oklahoma, I'll throw them in there even though they have some issues. Like the two most physical teams that Texas has gone up against, the Longhorns have dominated right? Offensive line, defensive line, they have had their way with the two best other O-lines and D-lines that they've played this season. I don't expect them to do that against Georgia, especially Georgia's offensive line, because that's one of the best in college football. But if Texas can win in the trenches, right, if their O-line can protect Quinn Ewers, they can create some holes in the run game like they did last week. And obviously, if the D-line can create some pressure to force Carson Beck into some bad decisions, then you feel great about the Longhorns' chances to win and cover tonight.
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance that that's going to happen. You watch the film from the Alabama game. He made a lot of poor decisions under pressure.
He did.
Which is why I'm saying we need to get a fast start, make them throw the ball, right? Pin our ears back, get that prep. We got dudes, which I was thinking about this the other day. Like 2 or 3 years ago, our leading sack guy had like 3 sacks on the year, 4 sacks. Now we have dudes all over that can consistently rush the passer.
Yeah, and I think a huge development in this Texas defense is the emergence of Leonga Lafau.
Yeah.
Because you can put him at middle linebacker and allow Anthony Hill to play sort of that off-ball weak side linebacker to where he can line up at a few different spots on the defense. We saw him do that last week against Oklahoma. That guy was everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma had no answers for him. It was Anthony Hill's best statistical game of the season. And we know how much of a freak that guy is when he can pin his ears back, to use your verbiage, and get after the quarterback. If you can get to a situation where you feel good enough about your other linebackers, where your 2 edge rushers can be Ant Hill and Colin Simmons, who even though he's a true freshman, looks like he's absolutely ready for this moment. There aren't too many pass rushing duos. And, oh, by the way, you still have Barron Sorrell. You've got Ethan Burke, friend of the program. You've got Colton Bosick. You've got Trey Moore. It's not like you only have those 2 guys, but if you have Ant Hill and Colin Simmons rushing the quarterback at the same time, I don't care how good Georgia's offensive line is, that's going to be tough for them to hold up.
Yeah. Oh, they're deep, dude. They got like 5 or 6 guys that can get after the quarterback. You put all those guys out there, and they're all versatile, too. You don't know where the pressure is going to come from.
Yeah.
Some of them can rush. Some of them can drop back. That makes it really hard for an offensive line trying to figure out where the pressure is going to come from.
Yeah, and a good thing for this Texas defense is they've been able to get pressure without bringing a bunch of extra bodies. Now, they've had timely blitzes. Michael Taft had a big sack last week against Oklahoma. You've seen Jahdae Barron come a couple of times. That stuff's great, and that can keep a quarterback off guard. But the best defenses are the ones that are able to get consistent pressure without bringing extra blitzers. This Texas group has been able to do that. They don't have the same interior pressure that they had last year when Byron Murphy and Devontae Sweat were up in the teeth of that defense. But the edge room, like you said, I mean, really since Steve Sarkisian got here, but even from last year to this year, so much better for Texas. So many guys who can beat you. And when you can rotate guys in and out to keep your best players fresh over 60 minutes, once again, that makes this group really, really tough to block. Texas has 11 sacks in the last 2 games. I think they have 22 TFLs in the last 2 games. Now, Georgia's got a bunch of NFL guys on their offensive line, trying to do some research to see if Tate Ratledge is going to play. You know, sir? Emergency only. So Tate Ratledge, the All-American guard for Georgia, got hurt in the Kentucky game. He's missed the last 3 games. Listed as questionable on the injury report. If he does play, it's not 100%, it sounds like. If he doesn't play, that's obviously advantage Texas. Still a great Georgia O-line. That Georgia-Mississippi State game didn't go the way Georgia Bulldogs fans wanted it to go, but there were plenty of times where Carson Beck had clean pockets. Oh, that's the first time that's happened today.
Yeah, really?
I always forget that grown men bark like dogs. You only see it with Georgia fans. Nobody else does it. It's just Georgia fans. They'll go around barking like dogs. You'll see some grown men on leashes today. That's something that, I know some people are
furries is what they are.
I was going to say, some people are into those. They got fetishes about stuff like that. Brock, I know you're a fan of some of those websites that have those. But, it's a weird thing. You're going to hear thousands of grown men and women bark like dogs in this one. As a very special guest joins us. I think Bucky actually went out looking for you. That's you. That is you. So we'll see if the Buck can come back. Did he leave his phone right there? So there's no way of calling him?
Yeah. Probably not a smart decision.
No, that's all right. He'll stumble his way back. Legendary lifetime Longhorn Ricky Williams is with us at our table right now. What's going on, Rick?
Just in town for the game.
Yeah, nothing big going on this weekend, right?
Exactly. Just in town for the game.
Just a minor game.
Exactly.
How you feeling about this game, man? The first top 5 matchup at DKR since 2006. This place is packed. The whole city's packed. How you feeling about the Longhorns' chances tonight?
Last time I checked, the number 1 team in the country, so we're supposed to feel pretty good about our chances.
Absolutely. What did you make of the big win last week against Oklahoma?
It started off slow, but it's what I expected.
Sure.
I think that the years when Texas has been better, we beat up on them pretty bad, and so it's just another notch on our bedpost.
Absolutely. Is there anything? This team's 6-0 for the first time since 2009. Bucky and I talked to you before the season. You said you were incredibly confident that this could be a special year for Texas. Anything that surprised you about this team so far? Or is this kind of what you saw coming before the year got going?
Well, I think there's a lot of adversity, especially in the running back room early in the year, and to see that the way that it hasn't seemed to slow them down a little bit. We're not seeing huge numbers from the running game, but they're consistent and they're making it work. So I think that's been the biggest surprise for me is the way they've handled that early adversity.
You got a question, bro?
Oh, yeah. I was just about to ask you that. What you've been seeing out of these Texas running backs this year?
Yeah, well, I think last year Sark proved that they had a bunch of good backs that could all make big plays. And with the adversity early in this year, to see that they're still getting a lot of productivity out of different guys in the running back room, it speaks to what Sark can do as an offensive mind.
Yeah, and what about this Texas defense, too? Look, I know you're confident that you could run over anybody, but this Texas defense this year has held up. It's one of the best defenses we've seen around here in a long time.
Yeah, there's something about when Texas really wants to play defense, that they can take over a game. I mean, my last year here, we had two big guys up front and really dominated every offense in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So it's fun when Texas is doing things on offense and they got a defense to make stops. It seems hard to beat.
Absolutely. All right, now, since Bucky's not here, do you have any embarrassing stories about your old running back coach you want to share to our audience right now? While he can't defend himself?
Of course. So, when Bucky got here in our running back room, it was me, and we had Ricky Brown, we had Priest Holmes, and Sean Mitchell, right? So we had some characters in that room. And what typically happens is when there's a really good player on the team, the other players say that the coach always yells at them when they really want to yell at the star, but they can't yell at the star.
Yeah.
And so one day, I think I was late for another meeting, and Bucky came in and he gave one of those impassioned speeches. We really needed it, but he said, if I have to chase another MFer around here, and he wouldn't look at me. He was looking at everyone else.
Uh-huh.
And Sean just got up and said, and Sean called Bucky Pigman. That was his nickname for Bucky, Pigman. So he said, Pigman, why are you yelling at us? You really wouldn't be yelling at Ricky.
That's hilarious.
So I was like the coach's pet.
How did of course, deservedly so. How did Bucky get that Pigman, you said?
Pigman, yeah.
Where did that come from?
That was another funny story. Yeah. We were sitting in the Sean Mitchell was really funny. We were sitting in the running back room, and I guess we were having popsicles or something because he had 2 popsicle sticks, and he had the popsicle sticks and he put them in a sock, and he said, "This is Bucky's skinny legs."
Popsicle sticks
in a sock. Yes.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
that is incredible.
Sean had nicknames for everyone. He's the one who gave me the nickname Baby Earl.
Yeah,
kind of because he saw that I was spoiled a little bit. That even though I was a true freshman, everyone treated me like I was a Heisman Trophy winner. So he gave me that nickname, and I'm not sure why. You have to ask Buck why. First ask him what was Sean's nickname for him.
Okay.
See if he can remember.
I was gonna say, I wonder if he even knows.
Yeah, he might not remember. It's been 27 years. So
yeah.
He might not remember, but you should still ask him.
I know you still keep in touch with Coach, obviously. You still keep in touch with those 3 running backs who were in your running back room when he got here?
I keep in touch with Sean the most.
Okay.
Because when I was a freshman, Sean, it was his first year. He transferred from junior college.
Sure.
And there was a big question mark. There was a lot of hopes, but there was a big question mark. And Priest got hurt, tore his ACL in the spring. And so Sean and I ran for 990 yards. Sean ran for 1,000 yards. And we had a wonderful year. We won 10 games that year, so it was special.
Our listeners still give Bucky all sorts of grief for the fact that you had 990 yards your freshman. He couldn't find 10 more yards for you? You still mad at him for that?
Well, if we understand how it actually happened, it's not his fault in the end. It's his fault for earlier in the year.
Okay.
Because no one expected me, a fullback, to have 165 yards against the Aggies in the last game of the season.
Right.
So I just had a great game. But the Hawaii game, he pulled me in the third quarter. The Houston game, he pulled me in the third quarter. there are just so many games where he was afraid I was going to get hurt that he pulled me out of the game when I would have easily picked up an extra 10 yards.
10 more yards. He couldn't give you that.
Yeah, and I'd have even more records. But
maybe he was mad because wasn't there a game early in the season where you tried to go hang out with your moms in the stands instead of staying on the sideline at the end of a game? Is that story true?
That's true. I was a high school kid.
Oh, the game was over, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the game was over.
Right?
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
We've been dunking
Look,
on
there's
you.
Brenda. Brenda's here.
Oh, hey.
Look at him. He's hugging and
So good to see you. Yes.
We've been dunking
The
on
whole
you a little
crew's
bit.
back
Bucky.
here.
yeah. Well, don't dunk on me. You know, I'm out there running around in this crowd with my peg leg, but
Yes.
it's good to see you, man.
Yeah. So what? I know every year you have something to critique the team about. What are your biggest critiques this year?
That they've got a pretty decent running back in this kid Trey Wisener. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He really has come on. He's come along over the last 6 games, Ricky. I mean, I thought he was probably a third team guy.
Yeah.
But he showed that you give him enough carries, he can run between the tackles. He really can.
Have you seen this team get better each week?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
They have. I mean, and individuals have gotten better. Individual players, you know, on the outside, you know, we wanted to have that. You want to have that great pass rusher. Well, they got numerous pass rushers, but they also have guys that can defend the run too.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what they're doing on the plus side. And Sark's just scheming guys just wide open.
Yeah.
He really is. I mean, the tight end. I mean, when's the last time you thought a tight end was going to play a role like Gunnar Helm's playing right now?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while, you know, and they're doing pretty well at that. They're doing a lot of things really, really well. The secondary's gotten better from last year. You know what you saw last year, the secondary.
Yeah, but I just mean that I think there's something that a lot of people might not realize, but in the middle of the season, to me, is the best opportunity to improve because you get exposed. You know, every week on film, something gets exposed that can be improved, and a good coaching staff will address those things, and the team will keep getting better.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. And then for Quinn Ewers, I mean, he's now reached that point where all that experience is now coming into play, and it's showcasing. He's showing that. But you know, Ricky, last week when Quinn comes back after four weeks away from football, expectations were really, really high for him, and the way they thought he should play. But it's just rust. I mean, you play a position where it's not like turn around and handing the ball off to you. You got to throw the ball. You got to call the plays. You got to know the snap count. I thought he did pretty well coming back after 4 weeks last week.
We'll see this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it matters this week.
We'll see.
Yeah, Bucky, we were talking before you got here. Do you remember the nickname Sean Mitchell gave you back in the 90s?
He gave me a couple of them.
I was more than one?
Oh, yeah.
Ricky only told us one.
And this guy's old man.
Oh, well, everyone calls you old man.
Oh, what was it? What was Sean?
Pigman.
Pigman. Yes, Pigman.
I'll tell him the story when you came in after I think I was late for something. You said if I have to chase another mother around here again, he's throwing stuff.
You never yelled at Ricky, did you?
No, he got yelled at. And Priest Holmes would always tell me, he goes, "Are you ever is that guy always going to be like this?" And I said, "Yeah, probably."
So you told him?
Yeah, I said, "Yeah, he probably is going to be like that, but he's still going to get the ball anyway." He really, really is. All right, I know we got to let you go because you got a lot of stuff. You're the Big Hat can. You're on the can.
I'm on the
for
can.
Big Hat Spirits, right?
People can get drunk looking at a picture of me. I've made it.
That's the dream right there, huh?
Well, I drink the non-alcohol part of it. 24 years
Those are
right now.
good. Those kombuchas.
Aren't they? Those, it's tasty, isn't it?
I prefer those over the alcohol.
Do you really? Well, you were never a big drinker anyway.
No, but I do like margaritas. So when they reached out to me and said, "We put you on a can," I said, "I don't drink." But they said it's a margarita. I said, "When I drink, I drink margaritas."
I do drink margaritas
With your own face on
Exactly.
it now.
I was one of the things I wanted to ask you before I let you go is, you know, you've won a championship, Southwest Conference championship. You've won the first Big 12 championship. Would you have liked to play in this conference? This kind of competition every week?
I mean, I say that now because I'm not getting hit.
Yeah.
But they crack heads in the SEC. So, it's for the competition level.
Yes.
It would have been great. It would have been great.
And this is a guy who competed, BK, on every level.
Yeah.
Even on Sunday after games with the kids in the streets playing. If he would play, it was supposed to be touch football, but he would throw the kids into cars. They weren't going to score a touchdown.
They probably deserved it.
Yeah.
You can tackle if you're close to the sideline.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You get knocked out when you get close to the sideline with him. But it's wonderful to see everybody doing good. The baby doing good.
He's getting big. Yep.
And how about Prince and everybody here?
Everybody? Oh, Prince is in
Elijah?
Oregon. Asha just started at Berkeley.
Really?
Yeah, Elijah's here. He had a game last night. I went down to Bernie and watched him play.
And by the way, you're not just Pops. You're grandpop too
Grandpop, yeah. Stella.
Grandpop.
What's that like being a grandpa?
It's great.
Yeah?
It's great. It's interesting to see the genes, go through one person and then keep on going through the next.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And just amazed to see how it has worked out that way.
Yeah.
Well, we're wonderful to see you. I'm glad you got a chance to spend some time. But I know you got some things you got to do. You got to get with Troy. You guys got to get going over to the university.
Yeah.
And the university, Ricky, your name on the football field, the university and how it's growing and how, as Mac Brown used to say, the BBs are all back in the box.
Yes.
Isn't that good to see?
It's wonderful, especially with my name on the field. All this SEC hype, people are like, hey, there's Ricky
Name on the field, name on the big hat cans. Your
Exactly.
name's everywhere.
I'm doing it.
Your name's basically right here on the sign behind us, 34 Wine and
There
Spirits.
you go.
Yeah.
You're all over the place.
Yeah, the Wine and Spirits is doing pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm telling you, when Texas wins, everyone in Austin is doing better.
absolutely, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for spending some time with us. I know Troy's looking and saying, "Let's go."
We're
Ricky,
getting
get out of
yelled
here.
at over
Yeah,
here.
we're getting yelled at.
Awesome.
And Dan, thank you for getting him out and getting him over here.
Yeah. He was moving. Like, we couldn't keep up with him running behind
He knows. Well, he owns the place, so he
Right.
knows where all the ins and outs of the
Never
place.
gets out of his way.
was
They were
gonna
keeping
say.
it my way. I was like, hey.
Parts like the
Let's
Red
pull back.
Sea when Dan's
Exactly.
walking through, man.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, baby. Good
Score,
to see you.
score prediction today, Rick, before we let you go?
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay.
I think it's going to be like an
Interesting.
NFL score, like 24-21, something like that.
Wow.
Good
Yeah.
guys, huh?
Yeah.
24-21 good
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
I love it.
All
I
right.
love it. You're
Get
the
going,
man,
man.
Rick.
Get going
thank
so we
you.
don't get in any trouble.
Oh, the legendary lifetime Longhorn. Ricky Williams, kind enough to join us here at Scholz Garten. Always a pleasure when we get the chance to catch up with Rick. Of course, he was recruited to the University of Texas by our man, Bucky Godbolt. And you missed the first 10 minutes of that. Where were you?
I was out going from side to side trying to figure out where he was, and I should have known that Dan would find that Troy would call Dan and get him.
And you didn't have your phone with you. I was going to call you
Oh,
and be
no.
like, come back. I'm
Now
like,
in a cold sweat, running all over the place looking for that dude. I have been chasing that guy for over 35 years now, 40 years, trying to figure out where he is, what is he doing. But it's good. It's good to see him. It's good. I mean, it's good. I mean, he's so excited. He's so excited about this program.
yeah.
He he always wanted to be a part of this program. He always wanted to be a part of Austin and Texas legend, and he is. He's a legend.
He is. Legendary lifetime Longhorn, and it's cool to see him here. He makes his way to Austin a couple of times a year, and we've gotten a chance to speak with him a few times on TSU.
That dude's a grandfather
That guy is a grandfather, and he's a new father.
and a new father. Yeah.
That guy,
Slow down there, Ricky. Slow down. will
run,
you?
Ricky, run. He's still running
He's still running
for different
Right.
reasons and different things now,
Oh my
but
goodness.
he is still running. All right, normally we talk to Brian Davis at this time. I just texted Brian. I don't trust our internet here, so we're going to
Okay.
pull the plug on the Brian Davis interview. So it'll just be you and me the rest of the way, Bug, taking y'all until 6 o'clock, getting you set for kickoff. Of course, a 6:30 kick tonight between number 1 Texas and number 5 Georgia.
Dude, it is I know you've been sitting here now for over an hour. It is a mob scene outside here. It's cheek to cheek out here. I mean, it's incredible.
Like face cheek or ass
no,
cheek?
ass cheek to ass cheek out
Ass
there.
cheek to
Oh,
face cheek out
everything.
there?
It
What's
is-
going on?
It is maddening outside here.
Yeah.
Outside these
Well,
walls.
thankfully, it feels good. The last few weekends here have been 90, 95 degrees.
goodness.
It's nice that we get a true taste of fall today so people can actually enjoy this weather. I do have one thing to say to the Georgia fans here. Don't move here. It's usually not this good outside.
No.
Weather usually sucks.
It's hot.
This place is
Miserable.
horrible. The trash everywhere. The people are awful. There are no good things that happen in Austin.
Just
in the fall.
visit.
So
Just
visit. Spend your money here,
And
and
then
then
go.
go back to Atlanta or Athens, or wherever the hell
yes.
you come from. We have too many people here already. We don't need any
Absolutely.
more of them coming
This
in.
is a fantastic weekend. And as I said, just every time I see Ricky, it just brings back these crazy memories of just being around that dude. That dude is something else now.
Yeah.
And truly, for folks to hear that story about him wanting to going to the stands and sit with his mom at his first game, it's true. He said, I was in high school. I'm like, yeah, you are a dopey high school kid. He really wanted to take his shoulder pads off and go sit in the stands with his mother during the course of the game.
And you didn't let him.
No, and I didn't let him know.
Thought it'd be disrespectful
Somebody-
to the other team.
Well, somebody had to say no. A lot of people said yes to him a lot of times. I was the guy who had to say no a lot of the time. So that was one of my pleasurable times of saying, are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Really? You know you can't go sit up in the stands.
Makes for a great story.
Yeah.
And if only you gave him 10 more yards in that game.
Let's not go back to that. I wasn't the SIG. So.
All right, we'll try Brian Davis.
There he is.
We'll see if this works. We've had some internet struggles here at Scholz Garten because there are just tens of thousands of folks walking around this area. But we'll see if we can connect with our man Brian Davis of A to Z Sports.com. Yes, no, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we might have a little delay here, Brian. So we'll ask you questions. We'll give you plenty of time to respond, and then we'll jump back in. So, first top 10 matchup at DKR since 2006. It's been a long time since there's been a game like this in this city. I know the SEC slogan is "It just means more," but Brian, does it feel like this one today just means a little bit more?
No question about it. I was just thinking about that earlier today, about how these moments, they don't come around that often, right? I mean, 1970 Arkansas, 1990 Houston, 2006 Ohio State, hell, 96 Notre Dame, right? I mean, these are the games that don't come around that often, and I hope Texas fans who are newer, or which is younger, I hope they really understand how special tonight really is.
It is special. Brian, last week, the return of Quinn Ewers last week, how'd you think he played? I mean, there are Texas fans were wondering if this kid was going to take 5 weeks to get back to the normal Quinn Ewers that we had saw earlier in the football season. I thought he did quite well. I was okay with it. I just thought it looked like a rusty quarterback. Now, if it's a running back that's not doing well, or it's a secondary guy that's getting burned, then now you've got to worry. But it's the quarterback. It's the guy who touches the ball on every snap. And I thought he performed pretty well after not playing for 4 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I thought exactly what you said. I thought it was a rusty guy who needed to get back up to game speed. We saw that through the first quarter. The first quarter, wasn't that great, let's be honest, but he found his footing. It helped that they got some running plays going. Wisner was huge, there. And then obviously Silas Bolden tracking down that fumble in the corner of the end zone that got Texas going. And was it a perfect game for the offense or for Quinn Ewers? No, absolutely not. If you take away the pageantry of Texas OU, you would probably say, hey, my man, you got to play a little better, right? And they know that. And I thought it was interesting that Quinn talked about that both after the game and then again on Monday, where he said, I did practice for 2 weeks. I should have been better. So even Quinn knows he's got to pick it up tonight.
Ryan, this Georgia team, I get a little queasy hearing how many people say, this isn't the same Georgia team we've seen the last few years. And there are some numbers that back that up. Of course, Georgia already has a loss. Some of their defensive statistics don't look nearly as good as they looked when Georgia was winning back-to-back national championships in 21 and 22. When you've done your research and studied up on this Georgia team, what do you like about the Bulldogs? But where do you think Texas can maybe attack today? Maybe some weaknesses on the Georgia team.
Well, I mean, the big number that jumps out to me for Georgia is 11 sacks. Like that, and I just thought to myself, that's it. That's all you've got. That doesn't seem right. And that's where I come up with this isn't the normal Georgia defense, right? Yards per play is really up as well. Yards per play that they're allowing, I should say, is up as well. And the thing about it, I thought that Kirby Smart touched on it, midweek, and then they talked about it on game day this morning. Is that it's a good defense. It's just not Georgia, like not what we're expecting from the Bulldogs, right? Not what you expect from Kirby Smart. So, but I think that this Texas offensive line, I think they'll have their hands full, but I like them. I like them to have the edge on paper. I mean, to me, the biggest question mark in this whole thing is Carson Beck versus the Texas secondary. I mean, Beck is going to be the first legitimate quarterback that Texas has seen all season long. Right? No offense to the first 6 guys that they've played, but this is a legitimate Heisman Trophy caliber contender, right? And just look at the second half against Alabama if you have any doubts what this guy can do.
Brian, last week you felt really confident, like a lot of folks did in the media about the Texas Longhorns and their chances against Oklahoma. I mean, and it wasn't that confidence where you thought, okay, for a special game like Texas-Oklahoma, that, yes, I'm really confident about what's going on. Oklahoma missing wide receiver. There was this confidence I think you felt last week. Is that still remaining? Is there anything that's changed from last week to this week, with the exception of the opponent, that you're feeling about Texas? You feel just as good about them going out and performing tonight like they did last week?
Last week, my confidence level was at a 10. This week, it's probably at a 9, only because it's Georgia, right? And look, I'm not going to sit here and blow sunshine and say that Texas is the best team that's ever come down, college football street. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this team right now is really good. This Georgia team, is not what we've normally seen. I think the pathway for Texas to be 12-0 and get to the SEC title game is wide open, but they got to go out and do it. They've got to go out and make it happen. And the most interesting thing to me, Buck, over the whole these past 2 weeks is just that when you talk to the guys, it just doesn't feel like a big game, right? I mean, to them, they're saying the same things with the same tone as if they were about to play Baylor or K-State or Mississippi State or whoever. Name your opponent. Doesn't matter, right? It's had that same type of demeanor. And that tells me that Sark's message of be enamored with us, that's getting through. And the guys realize, hey, when you're at Texas, every game's a big game. Every single one of them.
Yeah, Brian Davis of A to Z Sports.com joining us here on our Texas Sports Unfiltered pregame show. Brian, you talk about this team being even-keeled. Sark's pretty even-keeled. He says he has the same message for every single team on the schedule. For Sark, I don't think this is a message-sending type of game. But for you, do you feel like there's an opportunity at stake for the Longhorns to send a message to this conference, to the college football world, that maybe there's a bit of a changing of the guard going on in college football?
I do think that tonight is an opportunity for Texas to send a message that, hey, we're not just all talk. We are ready for the SEC, and we're going to take this thing over, right? I mean, look, to me, this game tonight is their first real SEC test, right? In terms of who they're playing, who's on the opposite side. To me, the two games against Alabama, the 2022 game is, hey, we're coming. The 23 game is, hey, we're ready. And tonight is, we're here and we're here to stay. That's the message that I think Texas is looking to send, in these types of games. Kirby Smart, in my opinion, should be viewed as the reigning king of the league, right? With Saban gone, it automatically defaults to Kirby Smart. Back-to-back national titles, played for a third, yada, yada, yada. Texas is here trying to say, we want some of that too.
Yeah, I know one thing, that if Texas wins this football game, what it will do for me is it'll tell me this. Because in order for them to win, it'll be what this offensive line can do. We think of this team as having one of the best offensive lines in college football. Tonight is the proof that it is the best offensive line in college football, run and pass. If they were to beat Georgia tonight, it would mean that they rush for, last week we were talking about if you rush for 140, they end up in 170s. If you rush for those kind of numbers tonight, it will prove to me that this isn't just one of the best offensive lines in college football. It's the best college football line right now to date. I mean, including Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon's offensive line. It would tell me that they are now, as they were last year, the best defensive line in college football. It'll tell me they are number one in that position too.
And guys, I've been really kind of taken aback at how 3 different players have won SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Out of 6 games, 3 different Texas linemen have won that award. And what does that say about the rest of this league? Number one, I think Kelvin Banks has won it twice. So they've won 4 of those awards. That I don't know. I mean, you're right. This offensive line must be pretty dang good, right? They want to get that Joe Moore award. They're well on their way to doing it. If Kelvin Banks and company dominate tonight, to me, they probably cruise to the finish line. I still predict a tight score game. I think it's a tight score game because it's Georgia. Carson Beck will keep them in it. And, I don't know if you're ready for predictions, but I'll just put it out there. I'm thinking Texas 27, Georgia 24. Texas wins a thriller, but Georgia and the points pay in Vegas.
Okay. All right. Hey, I think any Texas fan will just take.
Does that mean Sideshow Bird kicks a field goal that he makes? I mean, does it go right through the uprights?
I think it bangs off an upright and goes in.
A doink.
Not a doink.
A good
Doinks
doink.
in.
Wow.
Auburn. Hey, Brian, what did you make of the news that Georgia will not be bringing UGA to Austin for tonight's game?
You know, it doesn't surprise me. It's like, hey, this thing's going to have enough of a sideshow as it is. I don't want to hear any BS about how, well, it's a brand new Bulldog and it's hard to travel. And I don't buy any of that. But I do know this is that I checked around on this. Bevo is probably not going to be there next year, mostly because if you think about their stadium, it's very tight sidelines with those hedges, and there's really no room for Bevo to stand. So I could see it being a feeling is mutual type of thing. Is, hey, if we can't take Bevo there, well, we're not bringing Uga. Let's just call it even.
All right, Brian, one more from me. Brian Davis, A to Z Sports.com, joining us. Not really about Texas and Georgia, but about Oklahoma. I know we talked about what Texas did to OU last week. That had to feel pretty rough if you're a Sooner fan. To follow it up with a 35-9 a home loss to South Carolina. Where is Oklahoma at? When's the last time you've seen Oklahoma in a spot like this?
You know what? I mean this dead serious. That team last week and today, that looked like 2013 to 2017 Texas, right? They are wrong and bad, and they are bad in all the wrong spots. You know, quarterback, not good on offensive line, not good enough on defense. And I'm telling you, the Sooners, listen, if you bleed crimson and cream, hear my words and believe you me, you can very easily slip into a decade of mediocrity if you do not get this fixed. Now, whether that's Venables or Stoops coming out of retirement, Barry Switzer coming from his house, I don't know and don't care. But I'm telling you, OU can very easily slip into becoming the Nebraska of the Big Ten here in the SEC very, very quickly.
I said this just set them so far back. That game Saturday, and then what happened to them today set them back in recruiting so far. I mean, there are going to be kids that are wanting to come there that are in December are going to say, no, I'm not doing this. And I mean, big-time players, because their recruiting, no matter how bad they've been, has still been okay. I don't know if their coaching has, but their recruiting classes have been some pretty talented guys. They're about to lose a bunch of them. And like you said, that's going to set them back a couple of years for sure.
Big time. I mean, yeah, we saw it. We lived it all right here with what happens with a program how mediocrity just takes over and seeps in, and it is hard. It's like tartar. It is hard to knock off your teeth, man. It just is.
Yeah, well, I hope it happens. Brian, we'll give you the chance, as always, to promote what you've got going on A to Z Sports. Tell our audience how they can find you nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I mean, A to Z Sports.com/Longhorns. All of the great stuff you're used to getting from me from the local newspaper, like I did for a decade, but now it's all free. No paywall, no nothing. You don't got to remember a crazy password, but all the same coverage, covering all the sports, doing my thing. You know it, you love it. Follow me on Twitter @ByBDavis and come see me. A to Z Sports.com/Longhorns.
Brian, you're the man.
Thank you so much.
When you
Brian,
check your phone, you're going to see a text from me. I'm glad you disregarded it, because I tried to pull the plug on this because I didn't think our internet was going to be good enough, and we got through that no problem. So thank you for not being a millennial or a Gen Zer and always being on your phone. We appreciate that.
Scholz knows what's up.
Yes, we'll talk to you next week, Brian. All right, there he goes. Brian Davis of A to Z Sports.com/Longhorns. Yes, no paywall. Everything's free. A to Z Sports.com/Longhorns. Make sure you follow Brian on Twitter as well. Great Texas Longhorn coverage, not only football, but every single sport. He's going with a 27-24. We'll get to our predictions at the very end of the show, right at the top of the hour, but close game, 27-24. I have a hard time thinking either team runs away from the other tonight. I just think these two teams are too evenly matched.
No, they're and as he said, you know, that fourth quarter, we've talked about how Georgia plays hard for four quarters. That's just in their DNA. They'll still be around. They're not going anywhere. You're not going to boat race this football team. It's not going to be like playing against Oklahoma. This is a team that's filled with champions. They got a bunch of rings. They got a bunch of national championship rings. They're used to winning, and they're used to playing hard for four quarters. They're used to playing in the SEC, which every week is going to be hard for them. So I expect this to be a hard game, but I'm kind of like he felt last week. I just feel like Texas just has better players right now. They've got a better team. So I think it'll be more than 3 points.
We'll give some love to our friends at Top Gun Rentals and
Absolutely.
Lawn Equipment. They offer an extensive selection of rental equipment for everything from small home projects to large construction jobs. And they've got all the biggest brands like Steel, Hustler, Toro, Walker, DeWalt, and more. Our buddy Brandon, where's Brandon Marsh?
Still up in Dallas.
You think so?
Probably.
Got too drunk up there.
Just
Couldn't find his way back.
Stayed for the week.
Oh, my gosh. Our buddy Brandon Mars, his wife Alicia, the whole team at Top Gun, they will take care of you, and they will hook you up with whatever you need to get the job done. They are Austin's #1 source for all of your equipment rental, sales, and supplies, and it's been that way since 1996. 2 Austin area locations, one up north in Anderson Square, the other in Buda. Down south, it's topgun.net. We'll shoot you straight.
If you didn't get my defensive player, I'm taking Anthony Hill again back-to-back weeks.
All right. Defensive player of the game brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. More on them in a second.
Did you? Oh, I thought you may have done it since I was gone for seemed like an hour. Running
Yeah,
around
it
this
felt
place.
like 2.5.
Yeah, for me, walking through this crowd with me, dragging myself through here, wow.
Dude, I hate crowds. I can only imagine how you feel
Oh, my
about
goodness,
this.
going out there, elbowing all those Georgia Bulldog fans on the way out,
So you're going with
asking them the name of their dogs.
Oh, what would they say?
My dog is Fido.
Fido. I'm going to eat
I'm
Fido
going to
tonight.
eat Fido tonight, yeah.
Is that what you told him? Yeah, Anthony Hill last week. As we got, oh, there we go.
There you go.
Grown men barking like dogs.
I told you.
That's cool. That's normal.
Be
That's
careful.
That's what
we eat
people
dogs.
do.
We eat dogs.
We do eat dogs here. The president will be at this game eating the dogs tonight.
That's right. Be careful now.
Get ready for that one.
It's a fine dog, though. It's a fine dog.
Anthony Hill last week against Oklahoma, 11 tackles to lead the team, 2 sacks to lead the team, 3.5 TFLs to lead the team. That guy was a man amongst boys last
Absolutely,
week.
he was. I mean, they got to let him loose, and they have to let Simmons loose again tonight, too. This is his opportunity. This is a showcase game for the freshmen. You know, everybody around the nation talks about they're all, you can hear them say it. You can hear him on the 4-letter network talk about when he gets his chance. He needs to be getting his chance now. This is a huge game.
Yep.
This is a game for him to get his opportunity on national TV in front of a big audience tonight, showing what he's going to be like for the next couple of years.
Yeah, Brock and I were talking about this a little bit. The emergence of Leonga Lafau at middle linebacker,
Yes.
which has allowed Anthony Hill to kind of line up at a few different
I
spots
agree.
on this defense. Obviously, the sacks last week came in large part when he was lining up off the edge. You got him on one side, Colin Simmons
Wow.
on the other side, plus Barron Terrell, plus Ethan Burke, plus Colton Bosick, plus Trey Moore. There's no team in the country that has that type of talent and that type of depth at the edge position. And you look at Carson Beck, the Alabama game, turned it over 4 times. The Mississippi State game, turned it over a couple of times. If you're able to get pressure on this guy, he's like any other quarterback.
Sure.
He'll get rushed into some mistakes. That's a huge key. We'll get to your 3 keys to victory, but this is kind of captain obvious for me. You get pressure on Carson Beck with your pass rush that has been elite these last couple of games, you're going to have a really good chance to get the job done.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I tell you, these outside rushers right now, and not only are they going outside and beating these tackles, you know, with the swim move and the technique that they have, they're also falling back underneath where they don't actually overrun the quarterback, but they're just before they get to that throwing shoulder, they kind of smooth themselves right back underneath just in case quarterbacks are running. Now, Carson Beck will run.
Yeah.
This is a really good athlete. He really is.
We talked to Ethan Burke, and he said he's got sneaky speed.
No, he's well equipped to know exactly where the rush is, and he can feel it. I mean, it's an experienced quarterback that understands where the pressure's coming from, how to step up, and then run, and when to run, and not hang in the pocket a long time. But if you give him time in the pocket, that will be a problem. I can't see them letting him sit back in the pocket. They've got to come after him. I think Texas has enough one-on-one individuals that they don't have to bring pressure from linebackers or secondary people in order to get to Carson Beck.
Yeah, some good news for Texas. It sounds like Tate Ratledge, Georgia's All-American guard, will be dressed tonight,
He's
but
not going to play.
I heard emergency situations only.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not ready to play at this level.
Yeah, he's missed the last 3 weeks. He got hurt in Georgia's close win at Kentucky
Right.
in their SEC opener. Hasn't played since then. Getting close, obviously.
Yeah.
He's listed as questionable on the injury report, but it does sound like Georgia will
Yeah,
be
this
a
is a
little
game
bit
you're very
short-handed.
careful with a guy like that.
Absolutely, because Georgia's got a lot more down the stretch, as does Texas. I'm going to go with Manny Muhammad as my defensive
Okay.
player of the game. We haven't heard his name a lot.
That's good. That's a good thing.
When you're a cornerback, that's a great thing.
Yes.
Right? People have not been testing Manny Muhammad because he's done such a good job as this team's #1 corner. Look, I don't think Carson Beck's scared. Georgia's got 3 really good wide receivers, and I think Carson Beck has confidence in all of them. I think he will test number 5 on this Texas defense today, and I think he's going to regret testing number 5 on this Texas defense today.
Yeah, I think so too. I would add to that Manny Muhammad's been, as you said, when you don't hear about a guy, sometimes that's a good thing. We don't hear about a lot of guys in this secondary. It's been a great thing. The guys you hear about are these 2 safeties that have been playing so well. But the cornerbacks, when you don't hear about those dudes, that means they've been doing a solid job.
Oh, by the way, Jahdae Barron is the highest graded cornerback in college football, according to Pro Football Focus. Manny Muhammad's been great as well. Texas' secondary, that's been the biggest difference from last year's team to this year's team. I'm going to go with Manny Muhammad. I think he has an interception of Carson Beck in this game today, so he gets my nod for our defensive player of the game, brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars.
Love it.
Did they take Ricky to the stadium?
No, Ricky's in a van.
Of course he is.
Special van, yes.
Oh, my gosh. Well, hey, there's a lot of Kenfield Golf Cars.
They're all over this place.
Running around. They are the best. If you are in the market for a new or pre-owned golf cart, our friends at Kenfield Golf Carts are right around the corner to help you. They were founded back in 1979, and they've got an unparalleled selection of different golf carts available in new or used. They want to turn your golf cart dreams into reality. No job too big, no job too small. If you have a golf cart, you want to upgrade it, they'll do it. If you're looking for your first one, they've got you covered. Once again, nobody does it better than Kenfield Golf Cars. Check them out online, kenfieldgolfcars.com, or give them a shout, 512-258-8515. All right, as we continue along here live at Scholz Garten, let's do another scoreboard update brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. This will be our final scoreboard update of today's pregame program. We gave you some final scores from earlier in the day. South Carolina walking into Norman, Oklahoma, and running roughshod on the Sooners, 35-9.
Wow.
The final score, it's gone from bad to worse at Oklahoma. And, boy, a lot of questions for Brent Venables and company. Some games in progress right now. A big one in the SEC. Number 7, Alabama leads number 11, Tennessee, 10-7 late in the third quarter. And a defensive struggle thus far in Knoxville, but a close game.
Which tells me both quarterbacks aren't playing all that great.
Yeah, that game, of course, on ABC. So when that one is over, they'll take you to the Texas-Georgia game. Number 22, Illinois over number 24, Michigan, 21-7.
Thought so, finally.
I know your cousin liked Illinois in that one.
Yes, finally.
Congratulations to you. The Aggies in a little bit of a dogfight with Mississippi State. A&M up 24-17, latter stages of the third quarter in Starkville. Aggies are close to scoring again, so they might push this one back up to 2 scores. But A&M was a 20-point favorite in this game. Right now, Mississippi State, who played Texas decently well, who played Georgia pretty well, they're playing A&M well right now as well.
How my academies doing today?
Navy is up 51-17 over Charlotte.
We love the academies.
Army did not cover.
What?
Yeah, they gave up a lot of points in the fourth quarter. They still won 45-28 against East Carolina. So the Army remains unbeaten, but they did not cover their big line against East Carolina.
Wow.
Sorry to tell you that right there. Other scores that are final, Miami stays unbeaten, 52-45. Crazy win over Louisville. Indiana, it's not basketball season, but they're good at football. 56-7, they crushed Nebraska. And in the SEC, Mizzou 21, Auburn 17. That's your scoreboard update brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill. Buck, any thoughts on LSU at Arkansas? That game's at 6 o'clock, so it'll be going on at the same time the Texas-Georgia game is. A lot of folks picking the upset in Fayetteville tonight.
I'm not.
You're going with?
No, I think LSU will win that game.
Okay.
This is one of those games that LSU needs to start getting themselves back into the thick of things in the race to get into that 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
And they can if they can smooth run the table from this point on. They've got the Aggies at the end of the season too, right?
Yes, they do. In College Station, I think in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a big game. This one's even bigger. Now, if you ask me if it's the Horns going there tonight in Arkansas, that's different. I'm still horrified of the thought of that game.
I know
you got to get through this one. I know we got a 3 weeks, but that's the one. You had this one circled where you thought that the Horns would have some trouble, and rightfully so against a team like Georgia. But I'm just horrified at the word Arkansas, I think.
They've had Texas's number the last few times these two teams have gone up against each other. So still a while till we get to Texas at Arkansas. The good news is that's an 11 a.m. game.
And the Horns get up early.
And the Horns get up early.
There you go.
They play very well early, and the crowd won't be as lubed up in Vietnam when we get to that matchup. But a few weeks until Texas.
Unlike this crowd who's been lubed up since Thursday around this place.
Absolutely, man. This place is a madhouse. So back to Georgia. What about the run game, Buck? We've been talking a lot on our show throughout the course of the week that it's weird because Georgia doesn't seemingly have that like first-round caliber running back. They went out and got Trevor Etienne from Florida in the transfer portal.
A little bit of a mighty Mike.
Yeah, Trevor's brother is Travis Etienne, who, funny enough, was a first-round pick out of
Who's
Clemson.
not a little mighty Mike.
No, but they've got this freshman, Nate Frazier. They've lost a couple of running backs to injury over the course of this season. But the Georgia run game, it's been solid. They rank, find it, 89th in the country in rushing offense. So maybe calling them solid is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, they're the defensive coach. They want to run the ball. To me, they've always found a really good running back somewhere in the state of Georgia that would end up at the University of Georgia playing running back. But I think they rely on Carson Beck an awful lot. This is a team that's got a fantastic offensive line. As I said tonight, we'll find out the battle of the two offensive lines. But it's a team I think really has gone more towards doing what their quarterback does best, and that's slowing the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got some guys that can absolutely fly. I don't know if they can catch. I mean, they've been inconsistent hands-wise with the wide receivers, but they don't rely on the running game as much as they used to because they don't have that type of running back. They don't have that guy. They've got a guy who will play a couple series and then they'll bring another. They're trying to find the guy who's hot, who's got the hot hand.
I think that's well said, right? I mean, last year Georgia averaged 194 rushing yards per game. This year they're at 127.
Yeah, they're still searching.
And to go to your point about Carson Beck being the guy on the Georgia offense, Georgia's got the number 8 passing offense in college football this year. So when Georgia has had success offensively,
they're going to throw it.
It's been through the air. Obviously, the big comeback against Alabama, most of that happened through the air. Carson Beck threw for more than 450 yards last week against Mississippi State.
That guy was amazing in that Alabama game.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable to watch. I mean, it was like he never missed. I mean, he was so off early. Then once he got going, he just never missed.
It's been an up-and-down season so far, and I think that Alabama game is the microcosm of that, right?
But I think they would love to run the ball and give him a little bit of a blow, but they just don't have that running.
Well, I think if you're Georgia, you try to do what Mississippi State did here in Austin a few weeks ago, which is, hey, if you're only averaging 4 or 5 yards a run, that's fine.
That's right.
You're going to keep moving the chains. You're going to control the clock. You're going to keep Quinn Ewers and the high-powered Texas offense on the sideline.
They're going to run the ball at Texas
absolutely.
tonight.
And Texas struggled at times against Mississippi State.
Yes,
now,
they did.
As the game went on, the Longhorns offense got going, and when Mississippi State got behind, they had to throw the football. Texas didn't give up anything.
First down runs will be something special for Texas to stop.
The reason
Just
that
give
game
them 2 yards, 2.5, 3 yards. That's fine.
Sure. The reason that game was so close. Remember, Texas only led Mississippi State 7-6.
That's right.
With 30 seconds left in the first half. The reason that game was so close was because State was able to run the football on early downs. It gave them a lot of 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s where they could run it and move the chains there. Like, I know that hasn't been Georgia's strength this year, but like you said, Buck, teams try to run against Texas. I think Georgia would be crazy not to.
Oh, they're going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
They're going to try to get Etienne going. They really are. So I expect that's – we got the Texas flag.
There we go.
Little kid out front.
The little kid handling this one?
He's handling this one.
Good job. No barking like dogs in our chains.
No, please, we don't do that.
No, we're normal out here.
No, they're going to try to run the ball. Everybody does. Everybody makes an attempt to do it. And if they have some success early, BK, believe me, they want this clock to go. They want to be in a close ball game. They don't want to track me.
Could you imagine if Texas fans mooed
That would be awesome.
like a cow? You know,
We've
got
so
Devo,
cool.
We've got a Longhorn, and we just started mooing and
That
all
would
of
be
our
awesome.
chants. Would it be?
Or snorting. That'd be
Or
great.
snorting or just eating grass?
That'd be great.
Man, people smoke grass here. We did have Ricky Williams on earlier.
Yeah, we did.
But eating grass, is that what we need to do to try to act like we're Georgia fans? Is that what it takes?
Nah, let's just eat their dogs.
Just act like the animal. Oh, eat their dogs.
They're eating the dogs.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that tonight. Don't
They
you
love
worry.
that, man.
Don't you
They
worry
love
about
that.
it. We always get a lot of looks when we play
I know.
that. When we play that drop.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Georgia's got 3 receivers, by the way, that have between 23 and 27 catches. So Carson Beck has been spreading the wealth. Now, no Brock Bowers.
Thank goodness.
That guy was a monster, and he's doing his thing on Sundays now in the NFL, first-round pick. No Lad McConkey, who was a second-round pick and is having a really solid rookie season with the Los Angeles Chargers of Anaheim. Those 2 guys are gone. They were the 2 best threats in Georgia's passing game. They don't have that game breaker like they did with those 2 guys, but, man, Arian Smith, that's a name. You do not want to hear that name on the broadcast.
No, because that guy's going deep, I believe.
Yep, he averages 18 yards a catch, leads the team in receiving yards. He's got 4.2 speed. He's not Xavier-worthy level, but he's close. So that's the guy that can take a top off the defense. Texas has not given up a lot of big plays in the passing game this year. if it happens tonight, it's because Arian Smith has gotten loose a couple of times.
Yeah, I would agree.
Dylan Bell, another good receiver. He's a Houston kid, so he'll be amped up for this one. Leads the team with 4 receiving touchdowns. Dominic Lovett, the other guy to look out for. Their 4th leading receiver, Colby Young. That guy is suspended. He got arrested a couple weeks ago.
Driving?
No, this was the assault
of
a pregnant woman. Bad bit.
He's not back. Oh, they hadn't brought him back yet.
No, they actually did suspend somebody on Georgia, believe it or not. It wasn't just a little slap on the wrist. It was an actual suspension. That was impressive. Now, he's the 4th string wide receiver. There's nothing different to talk about. You've got like 30 arrests in the last 2 years, sir. What else can we say? Yeah, we could talk about each one by one, if you would like. That could give us our whole show right there. The 4th string receiver, they can suspend. Everybody else is good to go and playing in this one. All right, Buck, got about 15 minutes left. We got a lot to do. We'll be giving away a pair of Ariat boots. If you're here at Scholz Garten and you have not signed up, go to the table right next to us. Your chance to win a pair of Ariat boots and Ariat denim. Thanks to our friends at Ariat and Cavenders for making that happen. We'll give our score predictions as well, but we need your 3 keys to victory.
Yeah, man.
Brought to you by our great friends at Hat Creek Burger Company. We'll tell you more about them later. Buck, what are your 3 keys to a Texas win tonight?
They've got to stop the run because they will run hard and often tonight, I believe, at this Texas defense. Now, I don't think they'll have success doing it, but that won't stop them from trying. They know they have to eat some clock tonight. They don't want to be throwing a bunch of passes that are incomplete, giving Texas a chance to get off the sidelines and score themselves. First down stops, BK, will be important too in the run game. You can't give up 7-8 yards a clip that way. They're going to run it again and again and again until they get down the scoring zone, and that's what Carson Beck, I think, is at his best. I think he understands what's going on with defenses. Once they get to that 30-yard line in, I think he understands the game well enough that he can pick you apart in there.
Yeah.
The second thing is play to your standard and some more. Your standard is good. It has to be even better tonight against Georgia for sure. Sark talks a lot about playing to our standard. Well, tonight, play to your standard and more tonight. Then you're going to need a little bit more than just your standard. And once again, that's really worked for Texas is 5 penalties or less total in the game. I'm not just talking about your offensive line. I mean for the entire game. Last week was, 5 on the nose?
Yep.
That was a recipe for a win right there. Nobody jumping around, nobody jumping offside, nobody jumping the gun offensively. It was a very clean game. You need another one of those tonight on national TV against the number 5 team in the nation. Play like the number 1, which means 5 penalties or less. That's a big ask in a game like this. When you're playing these type of athletes and guys are just like you, they can beat you at, you're going to win some, you're going to lose a couple of those battles. But when you lose that battle, you just can't reach out and grab a guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't interfere with the guy going down the field. Got to be smart. So I'm saying that 5 penalties or less, the team that gets penalized the most tonight is going to have a problem in this football game.
Well, the good news is you're playing at home, right? You don't have to deal with crowd noise. You should be buttoned up. You should be on the same page. You should be able to communicate the way that you want to communicate. The crowd should be a factor in this game tonight, but it shouldn't be a factor for you.
That's right. It should work to your advantage tonight.
Steve Sarkisian, he talked about it on College Game Day this morning. I think Tennessee, Neyland Stadium, has the record for the loudest college football stadium in terms of decibels. Steve Sarkisian wants Texas to try to break that record tonight. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you want that type of atmosphere that's going to create some problems for Georgia when they've got the football.
Yeah, see, the Volunteers, there's not much in Knoxville to yell and scream about during the course of not only the game, but just in their lives. Here, there's a lot going on. We know we can scream and yell and go nuts, but
no love for Vegas.
Yeah, we have a lot of other things that are happening in our fair city that we don't have to scream to the top of our lungs about.
That's awesome. Hey, Bucky's 3 Keys to Victory brought to you by Hat Creek Burger Company. They started as a food truck behind Star Bar on West 6th Street back in 2008. Since then, they've continued to grow more than 25 locations all across the Lone Star State. Of course, here in Austin, but they're in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Temple, and Waco as well. Despite their rapid growth, the mission remains the same. Hat Creek will always be a place for good food, good folks, and good fun. It's that simple. Get their world-famous Hat Creek burgers, salads, nuggets, fries, shakes, even breakfast.
Yeah, man. Check out your location, your local location, about if they're having breakfast, because it starts at 7 a.m. You got those taters. Oh, they got taters here, too.
I like taters, man. I like taters
Yes,
a lot.
you do.
I'm going to throw in one more key. I'm stealing your bid here.
All right.
I'm going to give you a bonus key. Win in the red zone. Last week against Oklahoma, look, Texas won 34-3, so we didn't talk about this a whole lot because they didn't need more points than they got. they struggled for the first time offensively. They settled for a lot of field goals last week.
Saw a lot of Burt, did you?
Saw
Too
a lot
much
of
of
Burt. Too much Burt. The red zone defense has been awesome. Texas has only allowed 7 red zone trips this year. They've only given up 1 red zone touchdown all season long. So if you can win on defense in the red zone, Georgia's going to get to the red area a couple of times tonight. If you can force them to 3 or obviously force them to 0, that's huge. But when you're Texas in a game like this where you feel like points will be at a premium, you got to get 7 yourself. You can't stall out. You were awesome in the first 5 games of the year of converting red area trips into touchdowns. Not so great last week. Once again, it didn't matter because Oklahoma was never a threat to score. This week, Georgia's a threat to score. You've got to find a way to punch the ball into the end zone when you get your chance.
You know, and will Texas win the special teams battle tonight? So, Burt, that counts. You're a part of that special teams.
Shit show, Burt.
That you're a part of it.
He was.
So will they? I mean, you know, last week I called for a punt block, but now you're at home. This could be it, BK. This is where you let your special teams go in a game like this, big game like this. You know, you're gonna let that shine. You're gonna let your return team shine. You're gonna let your punt block team shine, and your field goal kicker has to shine in this game.
And Verde Auburn just 4 of 6 on the season. Hasn't been needed a lot, but hasn't been super reliable when he has been.
Well, it's a confidence thing for all of us when we're sitting there watching.
Yep.
You know, you like to go, oh, it's a 30-yarder. Let me go down and grab a sandwich. I'll be right back. Should have 3 up on the board. You don't go. You're like stuck glued to your seat now.
Well, last year he made 19 in a row at one point, right? He set a Big 12 record for most field goals made in a row.
Now you hear that clanking sound.
And then this year you got too many doinks. Oh, I don't like hearing doinks when my kicker's on the field, you know? So Verde Auburn, like, I want to have faith in him. We know what he's capable of.
That's absolutely.
This is not a new kicker. This is a guy who's been there, done that for this Texas team. But, man, that moment right before halftime last week where he missed 2 field goals, he got that extra chance because the timeout Venables took to ice the kicker, ended up missing both of them. Need Verde Auburn. I think you're going to need Verde Auburn because I think this will be the first close game that Texas plays in all season long.
Absolutely.
One more from Steve Sarkisian here. This is from this morning. He was interviewed at the football facility by ESPN. What do you want to see from your guys tonight? A short answer, but a sweet one from the head coach.
You know, I just want our guys to go play our brand of football. We have a unique team. You know, these guys are, really mentally focused. They got a lot of mental intensity, but yet they're loose and they're confident. And we're usually at our best when we go do that. And so that's what I'm going to ask them to go do. Nothing more, nothing less.
Did you hear any of that?
I barely, but I've got a feeling this is one thing that we have seen from this team, BK, that these moments aren't too big anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are a lot of coaches who will say, I hope we play our kind of game. I hope whether it's home or away that we don't have the jitters because we're playing this massive game. He doesn't do that. He doesn't come out with that. He understands that now they've played in so many big games. As I said, last year was big games. When the quarterback went down, every game from that point on was a big game. It was a championship type of game. And it's just carried on. So he never has to say, well, I hope my guys, I feel a little bit nervous about this, or the crowd may be. I mean, you're at home. You're the number 1 team in the nation. They didn't just hand that over to you. You earned that. So I think this team will play confident. I think they'll play well. I'm excited. I'm excited for him because I think this is one of those. This is a coaching game. You know, we talked last week. That was a players' game last week. You outmanned that group.
Yep.
That group was not going to beat you no matter what last week. And you could have played that game, and Oklahoma fans could have wished that maybe we could have won. They could have won 4 out of 10 games. No, you'd have lost 9 out of 10 and possibly 10 out of 10 games playing the Horns. And that may be the way it's going to be for a long, long time. But this one right here, he's not. This is one of those that he's got to be so confident in his football team and his coaching staff that things are going to get done. So you never. I don't think he has that feel. And that's a great way to feel if you're a coach going into a game like this where, oh, my God, we're the number 1 team in the nation, you know?
Loose and confident.
Yes, loose and confident.
Those are the 2 words that Steve Sarkisian used that stood out to me in that cut, right?
Absolutely.
Play loose. You talked about the jitters. Don't have those. Play loose.
No.
You know what you're capable of. You're ready for this. Play confident. Once again,
and if you make a mistake, you have guys to back you up. They're going to be there for you.
Absolutely. And the team's going to need you. Guys are going to make mistakes tonight. You're going to
face
right. You didn't really face it. You haven't really faced adversity this season.
No.
I know you were down for the first time last week against Oklahoma. I know that first quarter sucked, and you were trailing on the scoreboard, and it took you a while to get going. There's never really any threat of losing that football game. There's never really been any threat of Texas losing any game this season so far. That might happen today. Georgia might jump out to a 2-score lead at some point. This might be a tie game in the fourth quarter with
You're
5
right.
minutes to go. There's going to be some adversity. You're going to make mistakes. Those guys are really good. They're going to force you into some mistakes.
That's right.
Bounce back. Bounce back. Put it behind you. Focus on the next play. I think that's going to be a big message from Steve Sarkisian to his guys tonight.
I agree.
Hopefully they can focus on that. Shout out to our guy Noe, by the way, for the $50 super chat.
Noe went strong today, huh?
Absolutely. Well done, Noe.
Thank you, Noe.
On the Clean Cause YouTube comments line, Buck, how about a word for our great friends
Love
at
the
Clean
folks
Cause?
at Clean Cause, folks. They give 50% of their profits to help out folks in addiction, whether it's alcohol or drug addiction. They've been doing that forever and ever. And they do it not only in the Austin area, but around the country. Just look for Clean Cause and the great products at Clean Cause. You're a Clean Cause guy now, too, because you like liquids.
I feel like I shouldn't say I'm addicted to Clean Cause.
You like them that much now, huh?
Dude, I drink at least half of one every day.
Wow.
I need that caffeine to get me through the day.
Love that love the clean caffeine that they have, too,
Yep.
by the way. It's not going to give you jitters. It's going to make you feel good. But Clean Cause, once again, 50%, they don't have to do that, but 50% of their profits go right to helping out folks with those addictions, drugs or alcohol. Love the folks at Clean Cause.
The blackberry flavor is my favorite.
There you go.
It's a good one right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Clean Cause is all over the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go. You can get it down the coast. You can get it in Houston, Dallas. It's everywhere. HEBs, you know it. They got it.
This place is clearing out a little bit.
Yes, it's
Yep.
quiet almost in here.
I know. Normally people hang around here a little bit longer before making their way to DKR. Folks want to make sure they're in their seats for kickoff for this one.
Oh, no doubt about
And
it.
I don't blame them. It's technically a 6:30 kick. They'll probably kick at like
A little later.
6:45
Of course they will.
or something. But hey, I'm sure it's a madhouse for folks trying to walk to the stadium right now. All right, got a few minutes left. We've got to announce our winner. We'll do that now because we're
All right,
giving away a
here we
pair of Ariat boots and denim. Thanks to our friends at Ariat and Cavenders. You see it on camera. No funny stuff going on here. The Buck picking the winner.
Just pulled it right out, just like that.
And the winner of our free pair of Ariat boots and denim, Olivia Veslage. Olivia E. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. We'll get in contact with you.
Yeah, if you're here, we'll give you your prize right now. If not, we will reach out to you. Hell yeah, dude. I just got a girl's number. This is sick.
That's close. That's easy.
Congrats to Olivia
That's
on
the easy way to do it.
putting our free for that. That's why we do it. We're not actually giving anything away. No, I'm kidding.
Love
I'm
that
kidding.
number, though.
All right, our man intern Brock is here. Final 4 minutes of the show, which means it's time for our game score predictions brought to you by our great friends at Hall's Motor Works. We'll tell you a little bit about them momentarily. But Brock, we'll go to you first. You said when you jumped on the show earlier, you were cautiously optimistic about this game tonight. How cautiously optimistic are we talking?
Oh,
it's probably on mute. That's on
there
me.
we go.
That's on
well,
me.
first of all, have we gotten one winner that we could pronounce their name? I don't think so.
I think the first one was the only one.
Yeah,
I think that was Mr. Burns.
I feel like we haven't
Something like that.
We haven't even been able to read most of them. It's just a
Yeah.
big deal. I can read the name on this
I
card.
mean, half these people are shit-faced when they're writing their name down.
It's true.
I see these people.
I can read this one. I just like Olivia's easy, but the last name
Everlong.
Veslage,
Everlong.
I don't know.
The Foo Fighters song. I don't know. But congrats to Olivia E. We're just gonna run with that. All right, Brock, what you got?
All right, so I'm gonna go Texas 31, Georgia 27. I think it's gonna be a close game.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think Texas wins. I don't know if they cover, but
The line is 4 right now.
That would
Oh,
cover.
is it?
That would
Yeah.
cover. Believe me.
It went down. It was 5 yesterday. Now it's at 4 as we sit just over a half hour away from kickoff.
okay.
So 31-27.
31-27.
So bet the over, but
Yes.
not really picking a side here.
Yeah.
All right. Buck,
I like 38-27 Texas.
11-point win.
Yeah, I think this is just a continuation of what happened last week. I think the quarterback will be, a week better than he was last week. I think his experience will show tonight. I think he's going to go back to that whole deal, BK, of taking what they give him. And lately, Georgia's been giving a lot in that secondary, and I think he'll take advantage of that. And at home, I think he'll throw for 3 touchdowns. I think he'll be close to 300 yards of passing tonight. I'm not going to say they're not going to run the ball effective. I think they're going to do that too. I think this is going to be a very balanced game for Coach Sark and his football team. But I'm going to take 38-27.
You're telling me this is going to happen?
They're eating the dogs.
We're eating the dogs.
That's
yes.
going to happen tonight?
We're eating the dogs.
Texas will be eating the dogs tonight?
Yes, we will.
Oh, man. Well,
Sorry about that, but we will be eating the dogs tonight.
our whole team on Texas Sports Unfiltered gives picks, and we tweet and post a score prediction graphic before every single Texas football game. And we've got 12 guys who make picks every week. 11 of the 12 have Texas winning this football game.
Yes, and then there's only one guy. Then there's that one guy.
And then there's the one communist on our network, and that's the guy who's talking right now. I think Texas loses its first game of the season tonight. Got Georgia 27, Texas 23.
Ooh.
Yep.
Well, you haven't come off of that from the beginning of the season.
Yeah, before the year, I thought Georgia was going to win this game, and I as weird as it sounds, I hate that Georgia has already lost. I'd feel better about Texas's chances tonight if Georgia was unbeaten.
Yes.
I just don't think Georgia, even though this year's Georgia might not be as good as 21.
Their backs are against the wall.
Yeah, they're more desperate. I don't think this Georgia team is bad enough to have 2 losses before the month of October is over.
Yeah,
so,
you've been saying that for a long time. This is that game.
And you should be thanking me. If Texas wins, thank me, because
Yes.
I'm preventing the dreaded clean sweep.
There you
where
go.
all of us pick the same team to win. So I want credit. But if Texas wins, you can also dunk on me.
Yeah,
all
that's
next
right.
week.
You look like the fool in the corner when they
deserve
lose.
it.
Yes.
Y'all know I'm happy to be proven wrong when it comes to this
Absolutely.
one. But I'm taking the dogs, not eating the dogs.
You're not eating the
I'm
dogs?
taking.
They're eating the dogs.
There you go, with some of that Bichon mustard on that dog.
Absolutely. That'd be good stuff right there. Really good stuff. I'll just eat Taco Bell. That'll be my
Okay.
eating the dogs tonight.
You may have to stop there on the way home.
Might have to. Quick shout out to our friends at Paul's Motor Works. They sponsor our game score prediction. They've been providing complete foreign and domestic auto repair in Austin since 2000. They specialize in BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, Volkswagen, but they can do anything.
Yes, they can.
I take my Ultima there to get the oil change. Don't trust your car to anyone. It's hard to find a reliable mechanic in Austin. You can find one at Paul's Motor Works. Big Longhorn fans, big TSU listeners, go see them 620 and 2222. Find out more at pmwaustin.com. But this was a lot of fun.
It is. This has been a huge build-up to this event tonight. You know, with this city on fire with events this weekend, none bigger than this. Really,
Absolutely.
For college football, this is what college football has been waiting for all year. They're about to get it here in a half hour.
Well said, my friend. Special thanks to Scholz Garten for having us out. Special thanks to our pre- and post-game sponsors. Some love to our man Rodney for handling the app back at home. Shout out to intern Brock and intern Brock's girlfriend and intern Brock's sister and everybody intern Brock has ever met.
Ricky showed.
For helping out. And, of course, much love to Ricky Williams for joining us today and Brian Davis as well.
Love it.
That's going to do it. Zay and Rodney on for post-game immediately after this one goes final. The Buck and I will be back Monday morning from 8 to 10 right here on TSU. Y'all enjoy the game. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll be celebrating a Longhorns win deep into the night. Y'all have a good one. And hook on.
Hook 'em.
They're eating the dogs.